Really?
Hello.
Yeah, he
hello,
said he was
hello,
going to pick you
hello.
up.
Hello. Sorry. This is me catching my team off guard by starting early. Hello. Welcome to another part of JRDF. We're in the workshop today, among many other places. How are we all? Say hello, Golden Triangles. Rye, we already heard you. Stormtrooper can be found just... Oh, can I point to him simultaneously into your cameras? No. He's down there. There-ish. There we go. That's sort of in the right direction. Engineer, Norgeek, Golden Triangles, Ewan Carr, hello, Mini Flames, Unknown Bagel, love that name, Nighthawk, Ventovar, thank you very much for the follow earlier on. You are follower number 999. We have one more follower to go to our 1,000, and when we reach 1,000, nothing important happens. Other than we have 1,000 followers, which I guess is absolutely awesome. Mini Flames, Haskahar, Vexmo, welcome all. I'd live in that workshop. I do sometimes. This is a garage on the ground floor of our house that has been the JRDF workshop for the past 3 or 4 years now. At some point, we will attempt to move out of this place and get a proper workshop. But until then, this is where we are. Say hello, Mr. Stormtrooper.
Hello, Mr. Stormtrooper.
Excellent,
Hey,
excellent.
guys.
Just
Yeah.
checking all the tech works. So James is here because we're dealing with this lovely thing today, the huggable Covalex unit of loveliness.
I'm just
and the
happy
reason
to
that
blame
James is
JR
here.
immediately, but if you insist,
Yay!
we will look at the evidence.
Horrible Tomato, thank you very much for our 1,000th follow. Thank you ever so much. Yeah, so we made this unit for a couple of years ago for CitizenCon, and James did as much work to it as I did, if we're honest. Let's get she is on wheels, so we can kind of get her into shot, and that'll do. So
JR might be a dickhead, but apparently he's got some great friends.
Thank you very much for the sub, Rye. I do indeed. So I think James did about as much work on this as I did, in that it is entirely, there's a whole bit here. There's a whole bit in here that's that is empty and needs to be filled with technology. All this needs to get filled with technology. And the majority of the technology is still upstairs, so we shall have to go and get that first, and just get some kind of bits and screws and what have you. The setup has been a little bit interesting. We can be down here and upstairs now. I do have to run in between 4 flights of stairs to get to it, so I'll leave you in James's capable hands when that happens. We do have our normal kind of array of cameras. So we can move cameras around the workshop. Look at my absolutely butchered computer. I had to take tin snips to a case so I could get the GPU to mount that way. It's been a bit of a debacle. We shall talk about this wall as well. This workshop has quite a few things. The eagle amongst you will recognize the Intel logo there. Not just because it's an Intel logo, but prizes for where that came from. Not actual any prizes. We could do prizes though. Let's. I'm gonna have to do that from upstairs. Yeah, so we'll have to do that from upstairs. Cool. Right. I'm gonna head upstairs, and then we shall just get all the tech together, and then come back down and install it all in here. So I'm going to flip over to my upstairs cam.
So I'll just say the guys did incredible work, last weekend or whatever. I didn't expect them to come as far as they did, and I don't think they did either, so that was super cool, actually. That thing had been dormant for like 2 years. I just remember giving him a box with a bunch of stuff on it. So anyway, kudos to John and the guys for putting that together. That was pretty awesome. Pretty stoked to see what we come up with here. Here's the man.
As you can see, this has got more complicated, people. It's what we do best. What we
So I
do
was just
best.
saying, I'm quite impressed with how far you guys came up last week with putting that together.
Yeah, no, I was genuinely shocked as well, if I'm honest. It wasn't stacked in our favor to get as far as we did. So last Wednesday we made some brackets. We designed some brackets. We 3D printed said brackets, so that one is attached to there. I was just putting this together. So this is for the pie. So that's going to sit on there. So we need to unscrew these bits and these bits, and then put some of these through them. So we should just quickly do that first. Things have been happening up here in the workshop as well. We need to start naming things better. This is a 3D print room. Because we're going to be jumping from one to the other today. So this was the corner of this place at the beginning of the week, and then slowly as we've gone on, we emptied it, built some furniture on the CNC. I love this. This is my favorite bit of furniture I think I've ever made. It's just it's like a huge version of those little kids' toys where you've got to put the right shape in the right hole. It's brilliant. You're going to have to do chat for me, I'm afraid, James. I can't see chat up here. I'm a bit devoid of monitors. Absolutely. Now I've spread half of my tech downstairs.
Yeah, absolutely. One question that did certainly come up: who is the guy with no headset on? And I'm assuming that's me.
Or me, because I've not got a headset on. So the whole idea is I don't have a headset on up here. I do have one downstairs at the moment, but I'm actually on a Blue Yeti up here. So one of the cool things that I've managed to do with this new setup is I've got a RTX 2060 in that rig downstairs in the workshop, and what that allows us to do is use NVIDIA voice, which is quite frankly magical. It's unbelievable. We've been playing around with it today, and it's absolutely phenomenal. So there's 3D printers running in here at the moment, and the reason I couldn't use these mics before was because it picked them up, and all you could hear was 3D printer whir all the time, and it was really annoying. And now you can't hear it at all, even though they're still running, which is just freaking awesome.
Get that wonderful JR ASMR voice everybody loves to
yeah,
do.
on a better mic now. Man, I cannot get this off. So what I'm trying to do, if I go to my other camera, I'm trying to separate. Just tilt this camera just slightly. Focus. There we go. I'm trying to separate this board because I need to take these long screws out, and it's only attached by its header, but man, it's got some bite to it.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to remember if there was anything to that, and I think it was just the way that the screws were held in at a slight angle. They were so tight.
Yeah, no, that is ludicrously tight. Right. So basically what we're doing here in general is mounting this electronics in a nice, aesthetically pleasing and useful fashion, because it's very easy when you build event stuff just to have an absolute ridiculously awful, really bad, messy setup inside. I thinking, it's for events, it doesn't matter. And to a certain degree, that's true. But since we're spending a bit of time on it this time,
I figured would be better doing it properly. So James, why on earth did you agree to to help JRDF out on this one in the lead up to CitizenCon many moons ago?
It's all about the money. It's the big bucks, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course. So it's obviously a pursuit of passion, right? I mean, I happened on Star Citizen by accident. So I think in 2017, I ran across Star Citizen on Steam. I was downloading something called Wallpaper Engine, and somebody had created this like beautiful like cyberpunk city, and it was just an animated wallpaper. And I'm like, God, this is amazing. And I started looking up some of the logos that was in there, and I just accidentally discovered, oh, this is a video game that's coming out or whatever. And so somebody had basically taken like the original art corp and made an animated wallpaper out of that. So that's kind of how I accidentally came on to Star Citizen. And so that was like what got me started. And I've always been passionate about like that kind of art deco, like that kind of scenery and video gaming as far as like an 80s kid, right? So it just becomes like this thing of passion and in the community. Like I've never met so many cool people than I have working with the Star Citizen community. So all these folks are just super awesome. I see some folks in chat that I talk to on a regular basis. So also thanks for stopping in, guys. This is super cool. So yeah, no, the real reason is it's the people. It's the people and the drive for what Star Citizen's going to become.
And I think that's one that I'm pleased that things haven't really ground to a halt during COVID, because there's so much of my love of Star Citizen comes from the community and the events and all that kind of stuff. And I do miss them, not just because we're involved with them, but it's just like, it's not the same. Star Citizen isn't the same without the Bar Citizens. I want to get back out and have a drink with people rather than, just hiding in Scotland.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's you guys. It's what you guys are all driven to do. Everybody, the pursuit of passion that you had. You created this GSS unit out of a game asset, and it's become this like incredible thing. And there's this great surrounding, all these great folks. You guys have been super cool. Going to some of the Star Citizen events like CitizenCon, and there's some concierge events I think I attended. One in Germany. That was a lot of fun. You got to spend a little bit more intimate time with some of the folks there, ask questions, sit down at a dinner table. So that was super great. There's so many people, and they come from all likes too. There's a lot of people that are fabricators, they're developers, they're digital artists. So I consider myself a catalyst. I think it's beautiful to see what people do when they put their mind to it and they have this passion burn behind them. So anyway, it's a community, man. That's short answer long.
Yeah, no, it is a community, and as awesome as the game is and will be, it wouldn't be. I wouldn't have stayed with it and following it if it wasn't for the community. I would have checked in every 3-6 months, see how it's getting on. I might have had a go at playing it, but it's the community that sort of keeps you absolutely invested in it. Absolutely no doubt. Right, so that's all the bits we need here. Quickly before we go down to the workshop, we'll just finish these. So this cool desk is for casting. So I'm going to nick this camera. So over there, you'll see it's actually got my casting pots and stuff in. This whole place is an absolute shit tip at the moment, unfortunately, because we are still not finished building furniture. But it's got inbuilt bins. Well, bins are good, recycling and non-recycling. I put a new big desktop on it, so that's where I'm currently sitting, which is why my background has changed. The Covalex shipping, I'm really annoyed it's there on the wall because I don't like covering it up. So we found an old Covalex shipping vinyl that I assume was for like masking my desk or something, the Covalex desk. And I gave it to Leela, and she put it on the wall and then airbrushed all of that in paint. The sort of rainbow effect. So that's painted on the wall, so I can't move it. But it's so cool. So I don't really want to get rid of it. So it's currently sitting behind my monitor. And yeah, so you can see it when you're standing up, so it's fine. Yeah, so move my rig over here. I had to extract my rig from that desk. The Covalex desk had my PC built into the side of it, so I had to pull it apart and put it all back together again. There's my wheelie bins, they're awesome. And made a bracket to put it on the wall. So that bracket looks massively over-engineered for what it is, but my plan is to kind of build a cover for it, sort of like not necessarily a Star Citizen thing, but like a sci-fi sort of big cover that goes over it, so you just see the PCs, both of the rigs through the glass, and then it'll have like warning, high voltage, and little panels to lift off to get to the cabling and stuff. But it'll all kind of sit there and just look really nice. So that's that. Right, okay, let's head back down to the shop. Let's take all of the pies and things with us. That's all that we needed from up here. We'll take those little screws. And bag of nuts. Right, I'll leave my headphones here, otherwise it will all go wrong.
Fantastic. Hey, so Forgeman, I see in chat you're saying you did last weekend a camp citizen with 20 people. What is a camp citizen? Am I missing this here? Love to hear about that. Unji, I didn't know that the GSS units were back in the game, so that would be awesome if they're still using those assets. I thought I heard something about it last week. You have to let us know where you saw that. At the Hop in Game, check it out. Nostalgia. Oh yeah, a weekend-long bar citizen. Holy crap, that would be kind of super cool. You get just enough time with, more folks.
Right. Should have made myself another coffee. Right. Okay. So how does this thing work? It's a good question. Oh, has anyone guessed where the Intel thing came from, by the way, in my absence of being able to see chat?
No, so let's see. Somebody said, scrolling up here, give me a second. Somebody said, scrolling past, I'm missing it. But no, nobody's guessed it.
There you go. So that was the very front of the plinth that the Raven sat on at Gamescom, CitizenCon 2017, because the Raven was actually paid for by Intel as part of the Optane promotion. So it was on a huge plinth with Intel written on it, and because it wasn't ever going on the Intel plinth again, the plinth was burnt. But I saved the front nose of it to sort of remember the day by, and then there's loads of other cool stuff on that wall as well, which we'll go through at some point. Right, so how does this work? Well, these are just cupboard doors. So these are just, there's no back on this unit at the moment. The back's sitting down there on the floor. That big black square panel is the back of this unit. So it's got these boxes. It's difficult to see. In the back of these, we have these boxes. So these are for the LEDs. So they have this cut out. So there's a room for a lens up here, because there's light that comes shining down from both of those. So that's fine. We have the main door. We then have big cupboard door down at the bottom, which has got a crate with all the workings in. This piece of shite. So this is the first kind of like crate that we built. It is absolutely awful. I keep it because I'm so embarrassed of it, and I also use it to stand my painter on it. But these are big cupboards. The hinges need a bit of tweaking, but they are quite usefully sized cupboards. And then we have this door here.
So JR, this crate,
Which of course works.
is this to scale?
Yes, of course it's to scale. How dare you?
You can fit it in there.
Yeah.
How come it's not sitting up top?
So if we open this and try and get it so that the door doesn't fall out the back, take all the other bits of it out. As you can see, this has been a little bit abandoned over the years. So this is indeed a really awful crate. So it easily fits. Everything is to scale. But yeah, everything is to scale. So there you go. You can do delivery missions. Now, one of the reasons that we wanted to have this sort of the back face of this accessible is that if you were doing this as an event piece and you wanted to actually do proper gamification, then you would have missions for people to do, and what you would have is you'd actually have this up against a false wall and access through the back, so you could actually load crates in, so the door can open, there'll be a crate there for someone to take, and then the next person comes, and when the door opens there's another crate for them to take as well, because you're actually secretly loading them in from the back. We would definitely have to work on how you do that quietly, but yeah. So this door, I'll actually show you how this door works. Let's take this door out. I'm going to show you how the door works.
This is great because I don't think I've even seen this unit to this detail.
No, no one has. So, because you can't buy a louver door that exactly fits Star Citizen metrics off the shelf, we did have to make this. So these are just timber. These are just timber lats. On the back, we've cut out these are cutouts for weight saving, and then piano hinges in between them, which gives us the enough movement. But because they're piano hinges, they keep these very rigidly straight, so it does peel properly, which is what you need. Because if there's dog legs in any way, it'll get stuck in the tracks because the tracks are pretty tight. The other thing is these end bits. So these end bits, these bits are 3D printed, so that they perfectly fit the shape of the thing, and then these are rollers from a shower door, I think, that we found. These were about the right size, so they're Teflon rollers, so these ends are screwed in and these are screwed into those. So that gives us our door, and also allows us to take it all apart and repaint it, because when we do this in FTL, this has got a big logo on it, so to paint that we'll have to basically do the masking with it all in place, take it all apart, complete the masking around the curves, and paint each louver separately. And I think each one will only be two colours, it'll be blue and grey, because it's kind of got the FTL arrow that goes up the side of it. So in the unit itself, it just literally runs in a groove. So you see that's the door groove, and then this groove here is where the shelf fits in with the mechanism. So that's kind of the next thing. So if we put the door back in, and the door just slides in because this runner. Say that again?
I was going to say the consensus in chat is that's a nice door, and I have
It's
to
a nice
agree.
door. Yeah, it took a little bit of working out how we got it to work. So the issue is one of the many issues of this is that you're seeing the back or the front? Seeing the back. So with the door open, there's only just enough room for this to get to the back without it smacking the back of the unit, and that's just open. So that's kind of our minimum to be fully open position, and that's it, literally hitting the back. So there's about a centimetre of play for us to put a bit of a rubber or a foam stop at the back so it doesn't smash the back. What that does mean is that we're having to pull the door not from the back louver, which would be the most convenient place to pull it from, because we have to pull it from lower down, because obviously we can't put the thing behind it. The other issue with this very restrictive amount of space we have, I'll just grab the camera, is on the flip side of this argument, which is when the door is fully closed, like that, we would ideally like another louver here to be able to pull it from, but we can't because there isn't room. So it's quite difficult to pull on this. When you're pulling on this, you're actually pulling the whole cupboard backwards. You're not really pulling this up through its runners. So that was a couple of the issues we had to sort of overcome. All right, let me just move that. I might have to go wireless on the old headsets at some point, people, because this is a bit of an annoyance. So how does it work? How does the door actually open? Well, there is a small and subtle mechanism.
Golden Triangles in chat says that Star Citizen probably designed it in CAD and said, "Yep, that should work." So that's pretty much game dev one, right?
The thing is with Star Citizen, I will say that the vast majority of stuff we look at does work. Like there'll be, like when you look at the ships and stuff and the big doors, there is actually a ram in there. There is room for that ram to move. Things don't just disappear and vanish. So it does give you half a chance. However, we are dealing with space technology. So, that's the first issue we have, is we have to deal with space technology. Cool. So this is the unit that we were playing around with before. This is what the pi and stuff triggers. And this should just pull out because it doesn't have any pressure on it. So when this pulls all the way out, it pulls this cord twice its drive length, which is just enough to lift the door. This then smacks into the back of the cupboard. We have to deal with that as an issue. I say it's a temporary one because this is going to be replaced with a stepper motor eventually. But I do want to get this working as it sits. Now, I already know this doesn't fit. I'm not going to bother showing you it not fitting because I know it doesn't fit. Basically, between there being paint on the inside of the runner this goes in, and a little bit of swell over the years, because this whole unit has been stored down here. This just needs a tiny bit of wood taken off it. So that's task one. So we might as well just get the fuck on and do that, because I know it's not going to fit otherwise. So now we get to find out whether NVIDIA can cope with a router, because that is a thing. All right. Now 25% more realistic. Indeed. Right. So let's find some writer bits that aren't too shite.
So I don't know if you guys caught this earlier, but we were testing this, and it's damn impressive. It's pretty cool.
Oh, it's super cool. It is super cool.
So yeah, everybody, headphones, 100%. Crank it to 11 if you can, you know.
Right, router time. So NVIDIA Voice is magical. It's always been the bit of a test whether it can cope, but it's magical enough for down here, because at the end of the day, there is a stark difference between a sort of a fan. I see most of the people that kind of go, NVIDIA Voice is amazing. Look, you can have a desk fan on. It's like, cool. Let's see about a 7 kilowatt router, shall we? That is going to be a completely different ball game. We'll start
Push it
small
to
and
the
work up.
extreme.
Yeah, we'll start small and work up to the big boy router. We'll just use a little hand router for this one. I'm going to get so taffled up in cables.
Like, I guess let's have some fun with it, you know? Like once you start this thing up, let's see how long you can hold a dialogue.
Well, as I say, the biggest issue is, right, if we actually run the big machine, the big CNC, I won't be able to hear you. At the moment, there's just no way, because I would have to, unless you are in full ear defenders, your brain melts. I mean, it's just impossibly loud. So you might be able to hear me through the magic of the NVIDIA. I won't be able to hear you. Is the problem.
Where's your safety specs, John?
I don't know. Always use safety. That is also going to be the slight issue of perhaps us actually needing to do things safely. But I mean, that sounds so boring, doesn't it? I'm very good with auditory sort of protection. I wear my ear defenders religiously, which is going to annoy me today because I'm not wearing my ear defenders. Because I'm wearing these so I can hear people. We don't need a lot here. And we're just literally.
So what would you call this? Part 2 or part 2.5 of the project renewal? This video, this stream here.
I'd call this part 2. This is kind of our. So this is what we're doing is first fitting. This is actually technically what we should have done in 2019, i.e. get all the bits that we've done and actually put them together. So we're not really doing anything particularly tricky, or well, we shouldn't be in theory, because this should just be what we were like. What the plan was to do in the first place. So this should all be fairly easy. Then we'll repaint it and all the rest of it, and then we will circle back and talk about stepper motors and things. I just need a... This is the problem when I tidy up. I know you wouldn't think this is tidy, it is. Everything's relative, people. Just need a small piece of wood. Yeah, it'll be perfect. So I suppose I should do a little bit of kind of, this is this tool, use it for this. This is a hand router. This is a very essential tool. It is useful for a multitude of fixes and things. And I also think it's always worth understanding how these actual hand tools work before you get into the sort of big computer-controlled type tools. Because at the end of the day, if you don't really understand how the tool, like how a router works, it's very difficult to program a computer to run one if you don't understand how they work. So we're just going to screw this down as a guide rail. This is never going to be a viewed bit of the project, so we don't have to be worried about screw holes and things like that. Oh, should I say about
so
what?
you're using the router?
I'm just using the hand router, but I'm using my CNC as a bed. So, yeah. It's an exceedingly useful workbench, the CNC, because you can screw things to it. So it's a bit of a feat. So all we're doing, this is too tight to go in. It's just a little bit too thick. As I think it's more because there's paint on the inside the channel. So we're just literally just going to take a mil or two off this, just to give us a better fit, and we'll do that on both sides. If we can, we might not need to do it on both sides. Right, so now we're going to see whether NVIDIA Voice can cope with the CNC.
Well, John's in and out, but it picked up the router, so that's awesome. It is absolutely magic. The real question is whether or not John is talking. I'd love to hear a story. Kind of beautiful, though. I don't know if you guys watch that How It's Made series. It's kind of neat to see the behind the scenes here. Like, oh, that's how this works. That's how they're doing it. Yeah, black magic. Absolutely black magic. So, did we hit 1,000 streamers yet? Yeah, we did. We hit goal. Moving most of the noise. Yeah. Yeah, so it looks like it catches the on ramp of the noise surging up and then grabs it.
Cool. So I can't hear you at all when I'm doing that. Could you?
It's neat. I mean, it was quiet. We didn't really hear you if you were talking.
No, I didn't say anything because I couldn't hear you. I'll have to try talking next time.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I say that's the issue. When it's on, I don't want to talk over you, but I literally can't hear anything because my head is next to a router. So, that's the problem. So what I'm going to have to do is, attach. I think I might actually just save up and get a proper two-way lapel mic type setup, so that I can then have an earpiece, be wireless, have an earpiece and either a boom micy type thing or what have you, so I can wear ear defenders, because then I'll be able to hear you in my in-ear piece inside my headphones, and I won't have this ludicrous trailing cable.
Yeah, Lurtzik in chat says basically wear something underneath your ears, Mickey ears. That would solve this, yeah.
Well, the thing is, this is my actual headset. So I usually, when I'm in the workshop, I have these, which are my pelters, which are ludicrous, and then I have my Shure in-ear headphones underneath, listening to music and what have you, which are Bluetooth. So I suppose if I got a big Bluetooth transmitter, I could get that to work down here. The problem is I lose my mic because I need. We need this for my mic, so it's more about the mic than the headphones. Interestingly, I'm sort of tied to this because of the mic. So this fits up here like this, but we're going to see that has made it infinitely better. Yay! She now fits. So the thing I love about this design that we came up with for this is that all the mechanism for this fits in this tiny space here. So this is a cupboard. This is the thing, and all the mechanism for lifting the door is in this tiny wee gap there. So it's really, really space efficient, which is nice because it means that most of the cupboard is usable, but we still get to to have all the toys. So this rope comes down there over the roller fair lead. That will get screwed to the bottom of the door. Now, this is where things get a little bit less technological, I'm going to be honest. So, in the deepest, darkest recesses of my mind, I remember that this bungee cord was needed for this to work, and I can't entirely remember how or why. I think this bungee cord was required. Why was this?
Is it like a booster?
I think
like
it was to
jumpstart?
I think it was actually to jumpstart the closing of the door. Because yes, it must have been. Because the issue,
press the slam.
Well, no, interestingly, not. It's to actually. So the issue. Tripping over my own cable. The safety issue with this door is obviously this ram has a huge amount of power. If this ram was pushing a door down on you, it would probably, I'm not joking here, it could probably sever your arm, because this ram probably has 3 or 4 ton of force behind it, even running at like 20-30 psi. So there's no way that we could have the ram pushing the door down. So it doesn't. It pulls the door up on this rope, and then it allows it to fall. So it's only gravity that is pulling the door down. If you put something in the way, the rope will just go slack. The problem with that is to get the door to start to go down, that's when the bungee was needed, because otherwise the rope just goes slack. But because all the door is sitting up here, horizontal, it doesn't have enough weight in that first louver to drag the door down. So I think that's what I'm 99% sure that's why we had to have the bungee, was so that when the door starts to move, it has enough weight. So the question is, where did we attach this sacred bungee to? And more importantly, does it actually matter?
So here in the States, we have a couple of home improvement chains. One of them's Home Depot, one of them's Lowe's. And it's funny because Home Depot is this big orange brand. And so anytime I try to go to explain to somebody what this unit is and what it does, I basically can just pull one of those pictures up of Home Depot's delivery lockers and say, it's pretty much this.
It's one of these.
It looks just like.
I wonder what it is with like DIY and orange, because we have B&Q is our equivalent to Home Depot in the UK. In Germany, you have Obi, which is pretty much the same branding. And it's like, I wonder what it is with kind of like, you have to have, like, you just have to have orange branding. It's part of the law somewhere that DIY stores have. At least one major DIY store chain needs orange branding. Obviously, I know there are Germans in this room with us at the moment. I don't understand how you guys are as efficient as you are, and god damn it, you're efficient, when everything closes on a Sunday. I don't understand the number of times that has caught me out doing events in Germany, and Obi is closed. How can Obi closed on a Sunday? This would be sacrilege in the UK, literally sacrilege, because all DIY occurs at the weekend. that is the time for DIY. And because we're not organised, we've got no idea what we need on a Sunday. So we need to be able to go to B&Q 18 times a day on a Sunday to get the next screw or something that we need that we didn't buy when we went in there the first time. It's just part of the ritual.
I'm with Golden Triangle here. It's a work-life balance.
It is a work-life balance, except not going to come. As I say, the issue that's always. It's always comes a cropper for us because we're in the events industry. So we are setting stuff up and taking it down over the weekend. So it's like we don't work during the week because the event's on during the week. And you're not allowed to drive trucks in Germany on a Sunday. There's no trucks. So we literally, like, I've been stuck in Germany because we couldn't leave. It's like, oh, the rig's down. It's like, oh, no, you're not allowed to drive anywhere. It's like, why? Because it's Sunday. It's like, cool. I've got a ferry to catch. And it's like, nope, not allowed to drive on a Sunday in a truck. It's like, what? Great when you work 9 to 5 Monday to Friday, but if you want anything like an event put together over the weekend, it's not very convenient, people. Right, so this bungee needs to be... Oh, God, I've got no idea how this worked. How bad's that? Oh, no, I know. I remember. It's all flooding back to me. Yes, right, okay. Oh, I was about to say another phrase that you wouldn't have understood, James. Do you understand the term Heath Robinson?
No.
No.
Can you please? I'm going to put that on my list here.
Yes, Heath Robinson. All right, so who in chat understands the term Heath Robinson? We were having this debate because James had never heard of the phrase "raining cats" and I should know that. Room to swing a cat was not a phrase that he'd come across before, and I thought that was a fairly universal. Oh, that's me hitting my own headset. A fairly universal phrase, but apparently not. So we're going to have a sort of phrase.
I'd like to keep a running document.
That's interesting. So that doesn't. I wonder where I attach this.
Mini Flames, do you know what Heath Robinson is?
I can't tell you where it comes from. I
like Nighthawk Zale. He says, "I thought everyone knew how to swing a cat over their head." You know, it's probably like one of those nurturing things that you get from birth. It just you grow up knowing how to do said thing just by whatever natural regard. Oh, awesome. So the best American analog would be Rube Goldberg. So like massive layered approach contraption.
Yes, basically. And usually, certainly I would use it in a time where you get to make it out of what the hell you've got lying around. But yeah, it's always a very complicated solution for something. Right, so this bungee isn't the perfect solution. I'm going to. This is a definite Heath Robinson because it's exceedingly complex. That's fine. This would have been a need. The entirety of this mechanism was designed by myself and my friend Jamie at 3 a.m. And as a result, it is far from a perfect engineering solution. See, that's interesting.
VMXEO says MacGyvered. I think that's actually an awesome reference. I think that's exactly what got me into tinkering was literally MacGyver.
We don't have MacGyver. Yeah. MacGyver's not a thing here. Not a show that was ever popular over here.
Just like a guy that could start a fire with a rubber sole and a straw and all kinds of stuff.
I know
ingenuity.
Yeah, so I know of MacGyver mainly because of Mythbusters. And SG-1, obviously, in that I Googled why he was so famous. But yeah, in that they have done a lot of MacGyver myths over the years and reference MacGyver quite a lot. Okay, so we've got that bungee in. We just need to secure the bungee down. And then we'll see if that works. Where do I want to? I was kind of hoping there would be an obvious screw hole where this was attached. So it's that whole logic
Kalis, welcome to. We are revisiting a Covalex project we started 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And so that's exactly what this is. A full real size 1-to-1 working unit.
Well, it will be working soon.
Very soon at that too, at the pace we're going.
Yeah. Right, so I'm just going to arbitrarily screw this down here.
Clipper. What's Clipper? Is that a 3D printing component?
Okay, right, so...
This current project is getting Clipper working with the Ender 3. Oh, okay, Clipper's language. Oh, I didn't know that.
Okay, so that's...
Gotcha.
So we've got... let me just... So I've put the bungee between that back point there. So as the door opens, it's going to get caught in this loop, like my finger, and then get drawn back like a slingshot. So that will give the door its first 4 inches of movement to force it to start. And then by that point, there should be enough of the door, we hope, forward so that there's enough louvers to let gravity do the rest. Because that's what we're sort of fighting against here, is lack of gravity. So let's just see if that works. So it's definitely caught it. See it there. So the air ram is going to pull it into this position. When the air ram releases pressure, it's going to take... No, you see, that's not far enough. That's not falling under its own gravity. So it's going to need to be much further. Okay, so perhaps it was actually hooked all the way onto the end. Too many cables! So I don't know whether you can hear me at all. I can't hear anything because a compressor has just kicked in.
This is great.
This is like the worst one-way conversation, though. It's like...
I love it.
You can hear me, but I can't hear you. So I think this might have just been hooked onto there. Is that insane? I mean, yes, it is.
I love that. Like that. When you have headphones on, you're listening to music and you talk, you just end up talking more loudly because you don't realize the tone of your voice. Oh yeah. JR is a cool dude. I think I would never admit that in person. I would never tell him that to his face.
Don't ever tell JR that to his face. Don't ever tell him, period.
Now that we got that out of the way. I love this real-time MacGyvering here. Let's see. Can you still hear me? Check, check. I think maybe he's just super suppressed here at this point.
Well, is that me?
Perfect. Awesome. Oh no, you just went quiet. We heard you at first, but then I think you just got fully suppressed.
All right. Well, it's probably going to be slightly confused by the fact I keep putting my head in the box as well. It's not going to
that
be
too, yeah.
not going to be helping it. All right. Okay, so we've done the same trick again, but we've put that bungee right at the end now. So it's going to get really stretched as it comes forward. But that kind of doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, it's the air ram that's doing the stretching. And when it's starting to release it, it's not going to fire it like a catapult, because it's always going to be kind of at the point where the ram is letting it go to. So that's fine. So I think it might be time to attach the rope to the door. It might just be that time.
So the bungee is only a solution for this situation, right? It won't be necessary for the stepper motor.
I think it will still need to be there for the stepper motor, because so the thing with this setup is that at no point is the drive pushing the door down. It's only ever gravity, which is our safety mechanism for being able to put your hand in it. The stepper will have the same issue. The stepper will be basically a bar along the top and a spool of rope. It will pull up and then push down. My worry with this, looking at this, is that I don't think the stepper motor is going to have the same force behind it as this. So it's not going to be able to stretch this bungee all the way back. I might be wrong. But we'll see. But yeah, no, it will have the same issue. We might just have to come up with a slightly more elegant solution to pushing it. The other option we would have, if we wanted to do it with steppers, is to actually have two stepper motors. One that starts the push and then lets go after 6 inches. The door will just fall away from it. But then when the door comes back up, it's part of it. We're going to have to see. I would like to get rid of the bungee. The bungee seems like a very inelegant solution to this. But we may find that it works. We may just find a better bungee, a better fitted system will be absolutely fine, and the stepper will just be quite happy with it. It's effectively like a spring. I mean, a lot of the times it's like a spring and damper setup, really. You're just using a bungee cord instead of a spring. So it's not mechanically
Kind of like our garage door, right?
Yeah, I mean that's exactly it. It's spring loaded to help you start moving it. It's exactly what the bungee is doing here. It just seems a very inelegant solution to to the problem. Right, I'm going to need a little bit of builder's banding, which I can't see kicking around in here, so I'm just going to have to go and get some.
What's our most favorite feature of 3.15? Post it in chat. I want to see this now. I want to know what to get excited about, because I haven't been in Star Citizen and probably, honestly speaking, about maybe 6 months or longer. So I want to get excited. I want to get pumped. What's out right now and what's coming in 3.15 that I should get pumped about? That we should get pumped about? More team play stuff? Oh yeah. I hopped in for a second. Orison is beautiful. It's actually kind of very, I feel like I get lost. I guess there's a lot of signs and stuff to help you out, but it feels intimidating actually still to walk around, I think. Weapon and shield power overhauls kind of nice. That hopefully reigns back like the supreme PvP, like kind of condenses everything down to more of a even playing field, like sacrifice. true. I just need to get on it. I spend more time researching and working on Star Citizen projects than I do actually playing the game. But maybe that's
amen.
maybe,
Amen to that.
I mean, maybe that's just what we need, to give some rebirth to the project and come back to it, right?
No, absolutely. Oh, I'm so echoey. I don't know if you'll be able to hear me.
Oh, you sound great, actually.
Wow. Because, this is echoey.
We're getting a wonderful look at your haircut, so. No, this is awesome. I love seeing this behind the scenes.
If I was clever, I could actually put the camera in here so you could see what the fuck I'm doing. I mean, there's always the option we could have at some points actually like GoPros mounted to the drills and things. So this is a very kind of temporary fix for holding this cord on until we know exactly where we want it to sit, and then we can actually put a proper end on it. But you don't want to finalize things too soon, because then you've got no way of kind of making it up. So, guess we're going to need to fire this air ram now. Now, we could hook up all the electronics, or we could just feed some air into it. I'm going to go with the just feeding some air into it, just to as a bit of a proof of concept. Okay, so 60 psi. What could possibly go wrong? Let's do this. Let's just fire it and see what the fuck happens. Ready? That wasn't too shabby. It's fast as fuck. It always has been. So interestingly, it's not pulled the door all the way up. So this. I mean, yeah,
it could be canon, though. I mean, maybe that goes up in game.
No, it nearly has. So what we're looking at there is it's a fight basically between the amount that the rope will stretch and the amount that the bungee is pulling back. It's not there's probably still more drive in it. Maybe. So I think it's really just a case of we need to pre-tension the rope a little bit. So that's fine. That's why we didn't go final on it. Now what happens when we undo the... So this is interesting. So we haven't put air in the other side yet. So the cylinder's just uncompressed at this point. So we'll just flick it over to this side.
So a good question in chat from Ventivar. Is this good enough until the stepper redesign? And that's a pretty good question, I think, overall. Like, how much work on the air ram until
so
is
basically
overlap in engineering?
It is a very good question. What I really want is to be able to repaint this and take an awesome video of it working. That's all I want out the air ram. I just want to be able to do like a little promo video of it working. And yeah, that's about it really. After that, we'll rip it out and put steppers in. Because I do think that this is a little bit inelegant in that we're having these issues. See, this is now really slack, because it's just it running for the first time has stretched that line out a bit. So what we're going to do is take this off and then reattach it. So yeah, if we could just get a nice pretty video out of it, that would be awesome. Oh, I'll tell you what we could do.
Technically, you could have somebody in the back pulling that thing up and down, right?
No, that's cheating. I mean, yes, you could.
Okay, yeah.
This isn't a theatre set.
You wouldn't want to get caught doing that. Yeah.
Oh well, there's no fun in that. That's not what we're about. I mean, it's interesting. So if you were doing something for the theatre or a stage thing, like if you had a stage door with like Chris Roberts coming out of it or something, you would 100% have that door opened by a human being, no doubt about it. Whenever you're doing stuff for a live show or something, if you can, have everything done by a human being, because you don't have it. They're a lot harder to fail, believe it or not.
I mean, obviously, you haven't met me.
Well, no, but it's that whole thing of it's electronics and stuff are fine, but it only takes one tiny thing to go wrong with them, and then they're fucked. Whereas a human being, if it's not going right, you just replace the human being. You just go and get a better stagehand, like literally. Okay, there's a bit more tension on that. And that's all it comes down to. Just get a new person. It's also a very good safety aspect as well, because, in general, a person won't close the door on a child, whereas the motor will.
That's a demonstration, right? That's the video. I'm gonna
Yeah, sorry?
test this thing closing. Is there a room where the air ram is to use a nitrogen cylinder or push on the non-elastic rope?
I don't think there's any real need to use any other gas than compressed air, really. No real. I mean, this is the other reason why we want to change this out from steppers, is that you have to have compressed air available, which at events is fine, but if it's in an office or something like that, it's less convenient. Right. So let's trigger that again and see if we can get it to open all the way this time. And then I think we're going to have to actually get the control circuit into play so that we can see what it actually does.
I'm okay with this.
Exactly.
Engineer saying the nitrogen cylinder for tensioner to replace the elastics.
Oh, right. No, I'm with you. Oh, yeah. I mean, that has opened it a tiny bit more. There's not much more we could get out of that, I don't think. I mean, yeah, I think that's open enough, if I'm honest. I do think that is open enough. And I say, any much further back, I'm going to start smacking things. Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely fine. Again, though, it's like I do wonder whether the good God.
Sorry, the Animal Patrol heard the UPS guy or something.
Now, it's interesting that we're getting a bit of like shuddering. I wonder where the shuddering's coming from. Like shuddering in the cylinder, actually. Might just get a bit of lithium grease on that. Oh, a bit of WD will do for now. Again, we have the slight issue that this that the cylinder is sat here doing sweet FA for quite a while now.
BMXCO says that the Star Trek doors were hand operated for filming. I mean, they had a lot of episodes. Can you imagine? That's a full-time job for somebody.
I mean, the thing is, though, it's so much more scriptable and things to have a human being doing it. Ah, I see what's going on. So it's actually jumped off the other pulley, which is why it's being really weird.
This is intrigue building up.
Right, so it's jumped off the second pulley, which I think is why it's... Obviously, the pulley's there for a reason. I lose a finger.
So after this, we'll give a go at hooking up the electronics then, yeah?
Yes, right, okay. That's that back on that pulley, so we'll see whether that works better. It was juddering, I think, because it was sort of snagging it. That's better. Brof. Okay, so I'm fascinated to know kind of what's going on with that. Yeah, right. So I think we need to move I think potentially the bungee is pulling too much on this side, and it's trying to pull it. It wants to pull a little bit more from the center, I think.
So are you saying that's pulling off to the side so much that it's kind of pulling it off balance?
Yeah,
it's getting stuck in the routed jig?
I think so, yeah.
I just made all of that up, honestly, but I'm glad it sounded like I knew what I was talking about.
Makes sense to me, man.
This is why there's different parts of us here. We all handle different things because
exactly.
I can't even imagine figuring this all out.
Well, this is it. It's just like I couldn't imagine trying to do all the programming for this fucking thing. that would be insane. Just need to get this far enough out to get to that screw.
This is awesome, and I'll just take notice of the giant 2-liter there. I think you can hear us. What kind of rum do you think is in there?
Yeah, sorry?
Captains? Oh, hey, nah, we weren't talking about you. I was trying to figure out what kind of rum you had in your 2-liter there.
Kraken, obviously. The only rum there is. Okay. I don't know if that's going to make any difference at all.
Kraken.
Yeah, that door slamming sound effect is the thing that makes this a little bit horrendous, and that's what I want the stepper to be able to catch. It's basically to slow that down as it gets to the bottom. Yeah.
On stream, it's not a problem for us because we're not even hearing the slam.
Oh, okay. It sounds like someone's like dropped a car off a cliff. It's horrendous. Right. Okay. So let's just give it one more go on this air. Check that it hasn't jumped off its thing. Again, it jumping off the pulley is an issue that will go away with the steppers. Okay. I think that's just not running really. It's just not running very smoothly.
Cal's is back. Welcome back.
I'm just happy to blame
Can't
JR
believe you left.
immediately, but if you insist, we will look at the evidence.
Thanks for the follow, Riley. I can't believe you left John unsupervised.
Nah. I know, right? So what we could do with this
without safety glasses.
Now, if I was beeswax, where would I be? Odd news. I've definitely got some somewhere. Might have to go and steal a candle. Because I can't think off the top of my head where I've last seen furniture wax.
Little birdie tells me that it's in a beehive.
Thank God you were here.
A couple of little birdies.
We'll go and find a paraffin candle in a minute. Right, so I think everything. The only thing we're struggling with at the moment is basically the closing cycle of this, which is fine. I don't know whether it'll be helped or not when we've actually got a two-way valve on this air ram. I don't know whether it closing faster will just give that little bit more momentum, just to carry on the movement. It might do. We might need stronger bungees. Yeah, we're not 100% sure yet, but that's fine. So what we'll do is go ahead and put the electronics in it, because then at least we can get that part running and test it on an actual valve. So what do we need for that to happen? We need to drill a hole to get the air pipes through. So that is stage one. Is drill holes.
Holes for air pipes.
Holes for air pipes. So let's do that first. Because then we know where the air pipes are coming out of, so we don't put a Raspberry Pi in the way and then drill through the back of a Raspberry Pi, because that would suck. So
Cal says she misses you and she can't wait to be back.
She's drunk. That's what's going on. She's been at the pub since, not even kidding you, like hours ago. How long have you been at the pub, darling? She only says she loves me when she's drunk.
She basically said you're deaf to her warnings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is, of course, entirely untrue.
I'm jealous.
Yeah. Right. Okay, so we can bring our airlines through there. We should probably use old close-up cam here. Again, inelegant, but working. Right, so that's our airline. So got two more bits of pipe here. So all air rams need a feed and a return. So there's our feed. And that's the thing. What we've been doing, where we've just put air one side to the other, it's not pushing. It was just empty cylindering. So we may find that with both the airlines in, so you can see the two airlines in there now coming out here, that will make our lives a bit easier. One can hope. Right, so we've put that there. No, let's turn the whole unit, John, so we can see what we're doing. Because we're not interested in this bit now. We're interested in this bit. So, excellent. So, time for some electronics, Jamesy boy. Hope you haven't fallen asleep, because now it's all over to you. Just tell me what to do. Right, now let's get the pies and stuff mounted first. Actually, no. Let's start at the end and work backwards. So, first thing we need is an air solenoid. So that pipe's going to come in there, and we need that air solenoid, so let's just put that there. I haven't made a bracket for this, I've got to be honest. I have not made a bracket for this. So, builder's banding it is. I'm
going to say this is a great shot right here. What we can see, it looks like Bane's tubes from the comics.
Where did I put the rest of that builder's banding? I brought loads down. Obviously, the major issue of Callie not being here is she can't make me more coffee.
She does say she misses you.
She does. I miss her too. She's been down for a wedding. I'm not going to lie and say I wish I could have been there, because I really didn't want to be there. I couldn't actually be there because my mum had a hip operation the other week, so I'm still looking after her. But thankfully she's doing very well. But it did get me out of the wedding, so I think it was well worth it.
Well, with regards, I hope all the best, and that's from me and everybody in chat.
Yeah, no, it's unfortunately one of those things that just got delayed because of COVID. So it's something we've been waiting for a long time, both my mum's op and the wedding. So it's everything got delayed. I need smaller screws than that. What's that? 18 mil? Oh, might be all right. Might be all right. Everything I've been doing recently has been 12 mil. Right. So this is a very dirty way of attaching this, but I'm not particularly fussed because, as I say, everything to do with the air on this is temporary. So let's not get too upset about it.
So, JR, would you say you are a perfectionist?
Ooh, no, I don't know actually. It's yes and no. I'm going to go with a yes and no. So I'd like to do everything as like to the nth degree as possible. However, years in the events industry has taught me that this is not perfectionism, but it's done and it works and the event happens. So I don't think perfectionists would like this because, oh, well, no, it's not the neatest solution. It's like, it doesn't matter. It works. So there is a certain amount of, when you've done theatre work and like TV and film set work and stuff, the most important thing in your life is the deadline. Doesn't matter if you made the perfect thing. If it was a day late, you might as well have not bothered. So time is way more important.
Situational, really. Okay.
So that's not to say I wouldn't prefer to. If I've got more time, then I will get it to be as perfect as possible. But getting it fucking done is the most important thing. In the events industry, if it's done late, it's not done. You don't get paid. If you're late, you don't get paid. So it's there is no point doing it if you're not going to hit the time deadline. So it's all that matters. Right. So
done and correct. Sounds good.
Yes. Right. So that is our airlines going into there. This remaining pipe, which I'll just put a longer one on now, we've got a longer piece, is our air in. So that is what's coming from the compressor. And then this valve is going to sort it out. Now, this does have exhaust valves on the bottom, so it's just going to exhaust in here. We're not going to restrict the exhaust on these at the moment. We can use the exhaust as a limiter if we wanted to limit its movement in one direction and not the other. That gets really complicated, so I'm hoping we don't have to do that, but we'll see. I don't have proper fittings to do it at the moment because adjustable air limiters are quite expensive. So, and I don't have any. Right, so these little wires here are attaching to a 24 volt power supply and the Pi relays. So we're using relays to separate the 24 volt circuit from the Pi entirely, but we will need 24 volt power supply, so that can go up there. This helpfully does actually come with 2 suitable screw holes. So I'm just going to whack that in there.
So you said that'll be separating the signal, so that would mean it's always on?
No, that's whether
Or
it's
do I have
on
that
or
backwards?
no, I don't know yet. So I don't know which way round it's going to, whether on is open or on is closed. That's dependent on which way round we've got these. We might have to cross those over. Don't cross the streams! No, just more of a point of view of separating the 24 volt power supply from the Pi itself to protect the Pi. Because obviously it doesn't like 24 volts. Okay, so that's that power supply in there. Then we'll need the Pi. So which way do we want to mount the Pi? So things that are coming out of the Pi. HDMI wants to be this side because the screen's this side. Oh, hello. We have a helper. Don't know, you can't see him in any camera. Come on. You're just going to wander through, aren't you? So we have cats. So HDMI is coming out that way, that's fine. USB is coming out the bottom, header's there, yeah. So we'll do it that way around. So for all of those of you who are watching on Wednesday, this is the little bracket that we designed and 3D printed on Wednesday, coming into action.
In the back there, it's awesome. The nail guns he has up, they look like precursor Grey Cat utility tools.
Oh, and there's quite a few missing. There's 2 nail guns missing from that. The big one and the even bigger one. Oh no, a big one and a smaller one. I do like my nail guns Can't have too many nail guns. The crazy thing is my favorite nail guns are the small ones. The pinners. The pinners are awesome. Right.
Question from Wyborg: what kind of giveaways are you doing today?
Oh yeah, what a good question. We should totally do some JREX, I think. The big question is, can I do it from here? The quick answer to that is probably not. We'll give it a go.
Oh, Ewan Carr says that the prize is going to be a life-size Covalex vending unit. I think I'd like to go for that.
Right, I need to go and trigger it from upstairs. I'll be back in a moment.
Well, maybe if we get this thing up and going, we could print out some JREX coupons and then like deliver them in the unit, pull them out of the locker, working. That'd be kind of cool. So some JREX, awesome. Yeah, I don't know the tags here. Ryan, if you know the tags, throw them up.
It should be raffle, but I don't believe he's kicked it off just yet.
Oh, gotcha. So this Covalex unit, the new paint job is actually going to be the Orson or New Babbage. It's the gray one, so it's going to be the gray one. There's a picture of it around here somewhere. Let's see. I'd love for John to show that photo again. Actually, it's on the stream Twitter post.
Excellent. That started okay. Yeah.
Awesome. John, hey, where did the color scheme come from for the new Covalex unit?
Oh, so the new color scheme is in Orison. So there's an FTL branded one in just as you come out of the Habs in Orison. There's kind of a Covalex unit in the sort of basement there.
So question in chat, what are JREX?
What are JREX? What the hell are they?
Yeah.
So, what the fuck? So, JREX are not our stream currency. We don't have a stream currency. They're our website currency. So, our sort of loyalty point scheme, because you get a JREC for every pound, British sterling pound, that you spend on our wonderful licensed products from CIG. And you also get them for doing reviews, for referring people. So I think it's set up so that every pound someone else spends, you get the same amount back on their first order. I can't remember, or if it's a set amount, I can't remember. But there's quite a few ways of collecting them. You can find out all the information about that on our website. When you log in the rewards tab in the bottom left-hand corner. And what can you spend said JREX on? Well, we have quite a few. Well, at the moment we have one exclusive product. I'd be lying if I said there was many things you could spend on. There is currently two things you can spend on. Another cat. One of which is getting your name, number, and everything lasered onto your kit model boxes. Kit models only, not dioramas, because obviously they don't have boxes. And the other thing that you can get is the Invictus artwork prints that we did a while back. Now, we have also got 5 other license applications in at the moment, waiting to hear back from them for 5 more sets of artwork prints and stuff. So they'll be added to the options of what to buy. But yeah, cool little extras that you can only get by the JREX system. You can't buy it. So none of the things you can buy with JREX you can buy with actual money. It's JREX only. Right. So now we have our relay headers. Say that again.
It's the exclusive JREX based items, so that's pretty cool. You can stack those up. All right.
Yes. Now, see if you can find the Invictus posters on the website and post the link. If you search for Invictus on our search bar on the website, you should find them.
Oh, okay.
So you get all 4. So if you see a small black cat walking around, that is Merlin. He's feeling remarkably better considering he was run over. Actually, quite impressed by cats. I'm always impressed by cats, but he literally doesn't have a left hip. It was literally smashed to pieces. But because he's a cat and they're indestructible, he's now walking around with an ever so slight limp, and that's it. It's quite unreal. It is absolutely bizarre. Right, so that's that. So now we need the 5-volt power supply. Now I want to run the 5-volt power supply to run the screen as well eventually. But for now, we will just run it. We'll just have it here to run the... So I'm going to put that way up. It might be annoying for the other cable routing, but it's fine, don't care. Oh, tell me I didn't bring.
So when your hands are free, put them up on the camera. How big are these prints?
Oh, A3 wide. Wait a minute. I don't have my bracket, so let me go and get the bracket, and I'll bring some down while we're there.
Ooh. Merlin the cat is more durable than the in-game P52 Merlin. Shots fired, but also kudos on the cat making it through. Sorry to hear that. That bums me out. That always bums me out. But yeah, the whole 9 lives thing. I don't know about you guys, but I'm actually kind of pumped to see some of these electronics come back into play again, especially the touchscreen. I love the touchscreen. It's like an analog. You can actually feel it and see it. It's tangible. Who wants to, yeah. Wish there was a haptic feedback on the touchscreen. That would be nice, right? I'm curious.
Okie dokie.
On how far do you think we're gonna get today? I'm excited.
So these are the artwork prints. They're sort of A3. They're A3 width, but slightly, because they're all 16:9 images. So they're as wide as A3, but slightly shorter. But yeah, so they are probably better on this one. Yeah, drop one. You've got the recruitment center one, or the fleet. Now, they are double-sided, which we worked out was a stupid idea. So we are putting two of each in, so you actually do get, so you can put them both ways. The Hurricane and the Idrisi one. But yes, although we did them two-sided, we was going to put two of each in. Don't know why we did them two-sided, it was a stupid idea. Right, I've got my bracket, so that's fine. So...
Blurtsec, fun fact, in Germany, cats only have 7 lives, whereas pretty much every other country they have 9. Maybe because they lost 2 because of bureaucracy.
God help any Belgian cats. They will just have a life if bureaucracy can take lives away from them. That's too long. Let's get a shorter screw. Yeah, no, we've... Merlin definitely lost at least 2 of his lives in that escapade, that's got to be said. He got very run over. Really short screws. Could do with a 15 mil. You never find the right lens screw. 16, that'll do. We'll go with 16. Sounds like a good enough number to me. Yeah, so how far will we get today? Well, I don't know, if we're honest. Let's see. Once we got this, I mean, if we get back to where we were before, i.e. we get everything up and running from this thing's point of view, we got the RAM to go in and out. So now that we've set up the physical side of that, we should be able to click things on the screen and it open the door, which will look pretty fucking cool. I guess that's probably our target, if we're realistic. And then we will discuss the sensors and things and see where we get to with those. Because we're already at 29, so we're probably not actually going to get all of that hooked up. We can at least talk about where they should be placed, and then on Wednesday, because I assume you will not be available on Wednesday, I can get them installed and stuff, and then we can play around with them next Sunday potentially. Right.
What time on Wednesday?
Well, the same time. So streamy o'clock, 6 o'clock UTC.
Oh, actually, I won't be around. I'll be at a trade show.
God, trade shows, fucking hell.
Yeah, real work be getting me down. Sorry. I'm just disappointed.
Indeed. You got to work sometime on actual stuff that people pay you for. Okay, right, so that's our 5-volt power supply in on our little bracket there. So that's that nicely into there. We have fucked that up slightly because we won't be able to get a screwdriver to the terminals unless we can get a little mini screwdriver in there. Let's test that theory before we go any further. No. Nope. So it's going to have to come down. So we might have to put that the other way around then. Just because those terminal blocks aren't like the other ones. These ones, the screw's on the top face. It's annoying. Why can't there be standardization? So, fascinating thing I learned about long screwdrivers, and ever since finding out, I always use a ludicrously long screwdriver whenever possible, is that long screwdrivers are not designed, this sort of length screwdriver, is not designed primarily to reach into places to unscrew things. You should actually use them all the time for every job, because they're actually designed to effectively force you to put the screws in straight, is what their job is. Because if you have a very long screwdriver, you've got a much better idea of how straight you're putting it in. Now, we do really want it. The other way up. We'll just have to bring it down a bit, I think. I think that's our best solution. We'll just bring it down to that. We've got
so as somebody who's putting together their own IKEA set, that is like the best pro tip I think I've ever heard about the long screwdriver.
Well, no, let me give you a different tip when it comes to IKEA furniture. Get a screw gun and put it together with a screw gun. Oh God, there is not time in anyone's life to put IKEA furniture together with the tiny little Allen keys and things they give you. Put it in a power tool, people. But yeah, if
on like a one clutch though, right? Or else it'll just rip the whole thing apart.
Yeah, that's true. Don't let it actually put any torque on it, otherwise it'll just destroy it immediately. Because IKEA, the most amazing thing, and I have a lot of IKEA furniture, so don't get me wrong. What the greatest invention is the material that it's made out of, because it's not wood; it's mainly paper, and how they've got it to become furniture is as a wonder to humanity. But there's very little wood involved. Right, okay. So now we can get our screwdriver in there, so that's fine. Perfect. So that's our leads reach, and that's that. So that's power supply, pi, 24-volt power supply, and solenoid valve. So we now just need to wire that up. Scary plug of death that I realized that I made on the last stream. This is not a good wire to make, because I realized that what I did was I got a 240 volt plug here, and then just wired 2 sets of bare ends to it. So this was probably not a pro safety tip, but hey ho. It's what we're working with. So
Pro tip for mentioning that.
Yeah. No, I only realized when I realized that, I did actually turn it off and unplug it before I disconnected it, the bare ends from something. Just like, yeah, that was a good idea, John. Well done. So what we'll do eventually is run actual power into this and actually have like an IEC male embedded socket somewhere on this unit. So you wheel it in and actually plug an IEC cable into the back of it to make it look all neat. I like that sort of thing. That's where my perfectionism lies, if I do have any, is that I would vastly prefer that than having a wire hanging out the arse of it. I want something to unplug it. But I don't know whether that's a perfectionism thing or it's just an experience thing of knowing that anything that gets pulled around and rolled on and off of trucks with wires coming out doesn't end up at the venue with the wires attached anymore, because they just get absolutely destroyed en route. So not having anything dangling out of anything is a good move.
Dual Gers in chat is saying IKEA furniture, when it gets wet, will expand up to twice its size. That's insane swelling. Wow.
I'm not surprised. I mean, I'd say it's mainly paper. I mean, it's as soon as you drill into it, you realize that, oh, there's no wood here. This That's why it's like we've got all the cubes upstairs. I've put a solid birch ply lid on it so that we've actually got a work surface. Because if you actually ever use the top of like IKEA cubes as a work surface, as soon as you get them wet, they just sort of disintegrate. It's like they're dissolvable. It's like IKEA's actually created soluble furniture. Which I don't know if that's something we needed in the world. Get my head in here to be able to read what the terminals are.
So is that everything that will be mounted up to the side?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm thinking like in traditional IT fashion, like a closet when you have, a lot of little devices like this for quick connect and disconnect to actually just build it on the board and then mount the board to the wall.
Yeah.
And then handle the connects.
Yeah, it might have been sensible, but I think this is everything that will...
I'm learning.
Yeah. I'd say so. This is one of the biggest reasons I really want to get this finished is that this is one of the most complicated event builds we ever did, and we never actually got it. We never had time to get it finished because it was for us rather than the client. But this is... You will not see this like level of complexity in 99% of event builds. This is way over the top for anything I've ever seen at an event. And I guess that's the thing. I guess that's what we're trying to achieve. Now I'm going to borrow the camera here to find out which terminal's which. So V plus is on my left. Excellent. Always helpful to have a camera.
It's only safe to say this will be one of the most impressive units when it's said and done, right? Not only
God,
that,
yeah.
like completely usable. Like as an event piece, you can stuff it in an office somewhere and reuse it.
The thing is, just take people through.
I'm just happy to blame JR immediately, but if you insist, we will look at the evidence.
Thank you very much for the follow. James will tell me who it was.
Yeah, I'm sorry. My phonetic there is really bad. But thank you.
Thank you for the follow. You are the 1002nd follower. Right, okay. So that's 5 volt up to here. Now I have ordered from eBay a Type C to Tails cable. So that we can power the screen off this 5 volt power supply as well, so we don't have to have a separate plug and USB adapter and all that kind of shit. We'll use all that at the moment, it'll be fine. Right, so...
I'm just happy to blame JR immediately, but if you insist, we will look at the evidence.
Hark Zeus. Thank you for the follow. So 24 volt supply. We want... So we don't know whether this will be triggering it correct. Well, it'll be triggering it correctly. We just need to know whether we've got it wired the wrong way around, basically. Or wired or plumbed, actually. It's more of a plumbing issue. Right, we used a middle relay for this, didn't we?
It was the middle one. I remember that.
Excellent.
Yeah, you brought back a lot of memories as put this thing together.
Good memories or horrific memories? This was the thing.
Memories.
Oh, good. Because it was a typical JRDF build in that the person doing all the tech side of it hadn't seen it. Actually, we could actually trigger this the other way around because we actually have a normally open, normally close on the relay, so we could actually just swap over which way around the relay is to change the direction without having to unplumb it.
Brimstone's popped in and said, "Electrics are wired, pipes are plumbed."
Excellent. Hello, Brim. How are you? Right, so that's there. So now we just need a tail. I presume I had one in here. The box of many things. I mean, I knew we hadn't got everything right when there was loads of stuff left in this box, and we hadn't attached it to anything. that was always the first sign.
But yeah.
It's always the bad side, isn't it? It's like, oh well, I presume none of this was needed. Right, we're going to run a tail around that.
Kind of like when you first take a laptop or computer apart, you're supposed to have extra screws.
Yeah, absolutely. They multiply when they're not attached to it. That's what happens. Obviously, never strip cables with your teeth. Safety tip number 5.
Screws, that's what they do.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, tune in to watch me do stuff for many reasons. Safety tips are not one of them, I'm afraid. I think it's the issue with being self-taught of pretty much everything is that I've self-taught myself the laziest way of doing stuff most of the time.
Maybe not lazy, it's just path of least resistance, right?
Not lazy.
Hurry up and get done so you can move on.
Yeah. Indeed.
Not lazy, most efficient.
There you go.
Oh, I'll tell you what we haven't done. We've not put any little capping nuts on this pie mount. Let's do that. Hold that board on properly.
Norgeek, that's awesome. I did not know you were a laptop tech. That's actually really cool.
Like, as in repairing them or designing them? Because I imagine repairing them is a ball ache. You'll know exactly how many screws. Oh, that's true. You'll know exactly how many screws you're supposed to have extra at the end then and get an official answer. How awesome is that?
So ball ache is being added to the list of things I've never heard before.
Really?
So we've got Heath Robinson.
Yeah.
Ball ache and swing a cat.
Yeah. Did we get an answer on cockwomble? Is that something that you've come across?
You have said it once. Would you say
right.
cockwobble?
Cockwomble, yes. Now, Womble, yes. Well, there's the thing. You've never heard of the Wombles of Wimbledon, so it won't really mean anything to you without having previous knowledge of the Wombles of Wimbledon, which was a kids' TV show in the 80s. I want to say 80s. Seems to be, yeah, I would say 80s. I'm willing to be corrected on that. I grew up in Yorkshire, so we're always a little bit behind the times. So it might have been a 70s thing, it just didn't reach Yorkshire that quickly. Right, okay, I think that... Oh, no, we need a screen. We totally need a screen. That's what we need. Right, so the screen fits in this front bit. In this front bit here. This camera needs to go further away. The cables are getting real now. God. Okay, we're going to have to go wireless headsets, people, for this to be even vaguely doable long term. Right, okay. So, we have this insert here, which sits inside here, which gives us our sort of actual cowling. It's upside down. Apologies. Which gives us our actual cowling for the screen. Now, this isn't 100% game accurate because we'd have pulled it out slightly more towards 16:9 so that the screen fitted in it. That's always been a bit of an issue. The earlier CIG assets tend to be squarer screens, and it's very difficult to buy large square and sort of 4:3 ratio screens. Thankfully, now a lot of the new stuff is becoming more and more 16:9, which is great. Gonna have to leave you again. Gonna have to go and get yet more builders banding. I should have just brought the whole roll. 1 second.
Awesome. I'll tell you guys a good joke here. How come the bicycle couldn't stand up on its own? Because it was too tired. Yeah. Yeah, it's my favorite. It's my go-to. I love it. Break the ice, with that one.
All right. What about this? What about this stormtrooper?
Mm-hmm.
What did Zero say to the 8?
I'm listening.
Nice belt.
Go on. Wait. Say again?
Nice belt. So what did Zero say to the 8? Nice belt.
Have we determined Cockwomble yet? Excellent.
No, not yet.
Oh no. That's gonna need a very.
James, I'm sorry.
Right.
We're gonna look this up.
I severely think it is an exclusively British phrase. I can't see that Cockwomble has got any further. Mainly because you don't have the wombles, so I don't think the wombles were ever exported. Well, let me just do that, and you can sort of see me over there without me having to move the camera again. So I'm just going to... A lot of event stuff behind the scenes are held together with Builders Banding. This is a theatre tradition of things being done just the minimum amount of money required. Builders Banding is actually amazing stuff. It's exceedingly strong and very removable and adjustable, and it's absolutely great, especially for stages of it like this. I don't want to glue this in. I mean, a carpenter would glue it in, but I want to keep it separatable because we might want to repaint it, and it's a different color. Although actually, when I looked at the last lot, it was in this color scheme. It's actually the same color, but it'll still be easier to paint as a separate piece. So the hope is that we can actually do some painting in here as well with the HVLP sprayer. I will have to create covers for all the cameras because everything is going to get painted. It's a bit like Mr. Bean with the like painting with a grenade. HVLP sprayers like to paint everything. So.
One of the best Mr. Bean episodes, by the way.
I'm not a huge fan of Mr. Bean, I've got to be honest. I'm a huge Rowan Atkinson fan. Mr. Bean is not my favourite work of his. It's definitively Blackadder, but I'd watch it. So yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
really.
actually,
Go on.
well, chat's resonating with Blackadder too, and you guys are like the 13th people to tell me that. So I think I'm gonna have to sit down one of these days. Check it out.
Have you never seen Blackadder? Oh no, man! Blackadder is incredible, and it, like, genuinely, you could watch all 4 series in a day because there's only 6 episodes per series. There's a couple of specials they did over the time. I don't care what people say. Watch the first series of Blackadder. It was written by Richard Curtis rather than Ben Elton. A lot of people hate it, so if you do hate it, stick with it. Just go on to the second season. The second season is arguably the best one, but I actually love the first series of Blackadder. I don't know why everyone else hates on it so much. I get that the characters are effectively the other way around. Baldric is the clever one, and Blackadder's the dumb one, and they swap that over for the other series. But I like Brian Blessed. I'm going to be honest; it's mainly because of Brian Blessed. Fresh horse. Yeah, I love it. But yeah, if you've not seen Blackadder, that needs to change.
So, JR, how often do you find yourself saying, "I have a cunning plan"?
No, it's not something I quote a huge amount, actually. I suppose the thing I quote more is... No, I said, what things do I quote from Blackadder? Bob. I think because my driver was called Bob, and you just whenever you talk to someone called Bob and you're a fan of Blackadder, you have to say it in that amazing Rowan Atkinson, Bob. You know, it's just. But yeah, that's a Blackadder thing. No.
If we're taking a minute out, I would just like to say I miss Bob. That guy is wonderful.
I miss Bob too, partly because he's a wonderful human being, but also because he was my truck driver. And we're apparently, I don't know if you guys have heard on the news, we're not allowed truck drivers anymore. This appears to be the thing. That seems to be what we're not allowed due to Brexit, is truck drivers, like, at all, ever again. No truck drivers for us. Right, okay, so that's now installed in there. So there's just no truck drivers, right? It's partly because we left the EU, so all the Europeans that were allowed to drive in our country can't anymore because they don't have work visas. And also because of COVID, we haven't been doing any truck tests for the past 2 years, so there's no new truck drivers, so we have no truck drivers. So just literally, truck drivers are getting 10 grand golden handshakes to move companies at the moment, because no one can get a truck driver. It's a good time to drive a truck in the UK. Right, so we have a screen. You can't hear it, but my compressor just kicked in, and I can't hear a fucking thing.
Oh. Find out what color pants he's wearing.
What color of pants he's wearing? What?
Yeah.
I can hear things now.
You back? Yeah. Cal's in chat says, your favorite mother-in-law wants to know what color pants you're wearing.
My favorite mother-in-law? Black, I think?
What's your favorite?
My favorite. Well, I only have technically one mother-in-law, so it's all good. So we've revealed behind here is a whiteboard, and I was just amused by these, which I haven't seen for ages because the the Covalex unit's been in the way. So Misha, when she's doing work with us, tends to live in this area because that's where she does sanding and painting and stuff. And so she leaves me these weird things that she's cut out of newspapers, because obviously we use newspapers to mask stuff. So we have Be the John, I don't know, and we have Andy Murray shagging a sheep. And these are just the little things that I simply called a Leela, which is not far from the truth, that Misha leaves for me. And the hearts. You'll see hearts everywhere, just randomly sprayed in places. That's all Misha as well. She just likes to make the place a happier place. If you aren't aware of who Misha is, she is one of our scenic artists. If you would like to experience Misha, then please go on our website to our tutorials. She's done a load of tutorials about how to build our models, and there's fantastic little bits of pure, unadulterated Misha at the end as like little outtakes, and they're hilarious. Right, so this is a very cool screen that James can tell us all about because he bought it. Tell me about how awesome this screen is before I literally screw it to something with builders banding. Because that's what's about to happen here, people.
A relatively simple screen. I think, like you said last week, we had to kind of work within the confines of having the largest screen possible we could fit in the unit within the fidelity of what this full size is coming to be. So,
and
yeah,
it needs to be
it's just
touchscreen. It's touchscreen. That was the big thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a big thing because USB-C and portable screens really weren't taking off 2 years ago. They're starting to become a little more prevalent. So, but this was a great unit at the time. I think a little glossy maybe, but on top of that to boot. So I did actually find historically a great demo video of me prototyping this unit and the RFID stuff and my YouTube history. So I think I can just post this in chat probably to share. We don't really have a format for displaying this, do we?
No, I don't think so. So this is a slight issue that we have. This is why we have these little 90-degree bends for the USBs. There's there is one for the HDMI somewhere as well, but I don't have it here at the moment. It's so tight in here that we've had to put these 90-degree bends on. Even then, it's going to be really tight. I do wonder whether it would fit in the other way. I think there is actually more room with it upside down. So we might end up flipping the image on the. I presume that wouldn't be too horrifically tricky to do. Mr. Stormtrooper.
Yeah, I was just thinking here, quietly on mute. Yeah, we flipped. I don't think that will pose any problem for the software. I'm just thinking the touchscreen interfaces shouldn't have any reverse correlation just because it's a flipped image.
No, I think it should
placement should still be the same. Yeah.
But again, there's a lot of toing and froing with this sort of project. So James does it all from a sort of like input point of view and a software point of view, and then things like that, the physical nature of, well, we can't put it in this way around, we need to make it upside down, that suddenly gives him a completely new problem to fix that we didn't know about before. And you know, that is the nature of doing these sort of like really complicated projects. There is a lot of toing and froing with them because you do end up going, well, didn't think of that. That phrase comes up quite a lot. Oh shit, didn't think of that. And that's where the perfectionism would be a real problem if you were a perfectionist in this game, because if you can't cope with that, fuck, let's just make it work, you would really struggle in the events industry.
Yeah, it's really hard to come up with the entire spectrum of, what kind of problems you'll run into. So,
absolutely.
I think we got about 95% there.
Yeah, and the thing, it's one of those things that at the end of the day, you haven't. This is the other thing: you haven't failed if there was something you didn't think of. It's like it's such a complex. What we're trying to achieve here has never been done before, so it's difficult to go, oh no, we fucked it up, we failed. It's like, well, no, because if it's never been done before, the chance of you this whole thing is moving. To be slightly careful I don't crush the screen.
I was just going to say, I think it's glass. So.
Yeah, it's amazing what pressure you can put on with a bit of builder's banding and a screw as well. So we'll be a little cautious. It's got a nice rubber back case to it, so it gives us a little bit of cushioning.
And for those who looked at the YouTube link I posted in chat, basically what that is like a demonstration of kind of the tech, the brain is JR would call it. And so this is the RFID reader with the interface, and I've just got it hooked up with the touchscreen here. And so you can see this is a demonstration of the unit detecting whether or not a package is actually in the unit for pickup versus a package is not in a unit for a delivery, and then it would basically give you an error message either way. And then in this video too, John, I'll get this back out to you, are the little door sensors I have sitting there, just to kind of show for that working and proof of concept as well too. So it's pretty neat. It was a lot of fun working on this unit without having actually any access to the full size unit you have there.
Just for shits and giggles, yeah. Right, now, can anyone remember that was watching last time which way around these USBs were? Is the question. And also, why don't I have a USB-C cable here? That's the second question. Right, I'm going to go and get one of those, and then we'll go around this game again of getting all these cables the wrong way around, because that is just inevitably what's going to happen.
I actually think I have the user manual that tells us exactly which one goes on which, which I completely forgot that was a caveat to this unit. So, number 4. All right, so from the bottom up, the USB Type-C power supply, so that's just power. The middle one is data or power. And the one above that is the mini HDMI port. So touchscreen will be on the middle. Perfect. Inner was, I think inner handles power on both sides. This will be awesome.
It will be nice to see this work again. It's been a long time.
Yeah, so it's a good thing you mentioned that. Had we actually ever seen this thing fully assembled? This is like the first actual full assembly of it, right? I don't think the electronics were just kind of retrofitted in for the CitizenCon?
I think it was just retrofitted in, like we just kind of made it work. But even at CitizenCon, I don't think it was fully functional at the time because we couldn't get it hooked back up fast enough, just due to how much other stuff we were dealing with. But yeah, it'll be nice to see
It was great though too, because at CitizenCon the props guys were there, so the guys that actually drafted this model got to see
Yeah.
the UX with it.
I've actually got a picture of Corey Bamford, who's in charge of the props department, sitting inside this unit when it was half built, because he came up and stayed with us. Him and his missus came up for like the weekend in Scotland and stayed with us, and yeah, so we were building it at the time, so we've got this picture of him like inside it, peeking out from it, which is really funny. Right, I've got 2 USB-C cables here. No doubt neither of them will work.
So the center one's going to be your touch interface. The bottom one will be the power delivery.
Super. That is the way I've got it round. So we've got the little monitor down there. Well, that's kind of pointing in the same direction. So that's fine. So in theory, when we boot this up, that screen will come to life. We need some power. Again, temporary power. Screen. Power supplies. Okay. Right, we've not got air attached, and nothing, the actual thing's not going to work. We do have a Covalex unit logo. I haven't smashed the screen, so that's good. Oh, I know. We'll say this is like only you would actually have a proper splash screen. So if there was a power cut, it would actually look like it was as supposed to go really in lore.
Fidelity.
As supposed to go really in lore, it shouldn't be a Covalex splash, maybe. It should be like Microtech, whoever actually built the case. You have to have a look into the lore and try and find like, oh, who would make that sort of back-end unit for Covalex?
True. And also beyond that, I even went through the trouble to get rid of the Raspberry Pi logos at the beginning.
Oh my god, that's so cool. Right, okay, I'm going to see if the touchscreen works. It does not. So, okay, we've been through this debacle. Just power the Pi up again. It's probably the cable. The problem is you end up with so many of these that are just fucking charging cables for phones. And I only own 2 proper USB 3 ones, and they're on my big cameras. They're on those, on the Elgato Cam Links. And they're the only like absolutely guaranteed 100% actual USB-C cables I own. What did I use last time in the end? Was that a big ass long red cable?
So if those were in the box, they were the ones that came with the monitor. So one of them was charging only, and one of them was power data.
Okay.
So they should work in some kind of perfect world.
Some kind of perfect world. Okay, so let's assume that cable doesn't work. And try this one. I say I've just obviously bags and bags and bags of cables. I also should it matter which USB on the Pi we're plugging this into?
No, I don't believe that was a 3. I don't think that was a 3B. I don't think has a USB 3, but I also don't think it would matter either way. I'm pretty sure. But if anything, I would always defer to just the black ones, the USB 2.
Let it boot. Hey. Nice.
So which one was that pick up?
So that is all working. So I shall move the camera around so we can see what happens on the inside here. Flashy lights. What I could do with is to just ditch this light for a moment. Just turn you around. Just so we'll be able to see the lights a little bit better in here. So if we go for total darkness in here, well, not total darkness, but a little bit more mood lighting, we should be able to see what happens. So I'm going to touch the screen to say pick up parcel again. So we'll see it's just doing its cycle, but we'll see the relay go and that. So that light there is this solenoid tripping. So that is, and that's the relay tripping. So that is it triggering the valve. So that's fine. There's no air going into the valve yet, so that's why it's not doing anything. So that's fine.
Exciting.
I know. So all we need to do now is put air on it. And as soon as we put air on it, we'll find out whether it's currently the wrong or the right way around. So we kind of want this to be a bit of a more zoomed out image of this. If you could fucking focus as well, that'd be good. We could just turn the whole unit around, actually. Will that break the world? Of course it won't break the world. I have faith. So I get it so there's no reflection on the screen. There we go. So, airline. Then you've got a really springy airline. So if we attach this air and it suddenly opens. No. So we have got it the right way round, is what that means. Yeah. So the pressure is now on it. The pressure is now holding that door open. So, are we ready? Are we ready to press the button? Oh, where's my other camera?
We are so ready. Even Lurtsec has the drum roll for us.
So we'll stick this around here so we can kind of get an eye view of what's going on inside. Okay, I'm going to press it. I'm not ready. It's going to be anticlimactic with the open, does it? Yay! So the interesting thing will be is, does it actually close this time? Because now it's going to, when it untriggers, it's actually going to force the RAM. So that might bounce it. It also might bounce it off its runner again. But we'll see. The suspense is killing me. Oh, jeez, that was loud. You have no idea. I'm like, oh no, I'll tell you what I can do. I could turn the RTX filter off. Just because I feel that you need that in your life.
So we didn't hear it. Yeah, I guess anyone watching the VOD here, headphones warning, this is about to get loud.
Yeah, okay, right. So, I mean, that's assuming this headphone picks it up as well. So I'm going to do it again. So you might hear more of the air and stuff this time. I don't know if you did or not, to be honest. It's disappointing. I have to bring their mic down. I'm going to hold it near the door just to see if you can get a smash. Like someone having their head cut off. Yeah, that's something that the yeah, it is brutal. That is something. It's got some momentum when it gets there, and it's frightening being this close to it. And that's its biggest issue. It's quite theatric, and I would have no issue putting my arm in there and just catching the door because it's just falling under gravity. It's not. It's coming at a fair pace, but the door isn't particularly heavy. The ram isn't pushing it. It's just falling, and the bang is wood on wood because it's just birch ply smacking birch ply at 20 miles an hour. This is the thing. It is pretty quick. We wanted to try and get this roughly equivalent to how fast it is in game. So it does open fast and it does close fast. What we could do is just run a bit of foam along the bottom is one of the things that we need to do when we kind of rebuild this out, is to basically channel a groove, just maybe 10, 12 mil, and put a foam stop. So it's got foam to bounce onto. And then I say we need to get it to the point where the stepper motor slows it down in that last inch. And that's what the stepper is going to do. It's going to reel it out. And the biggest issue with this is it's free falling because the bungee sort of gets it moving, but by the time it's got moving and has gone over the edge, the air ram is already all the way in. So the air ram's not holding the weight back because the air ram's coming in so fast. That will be one of the advantage would be limiting a regulator on this to slow the air ram down coming in, so it would effectively catch the door again before it hit the bottom. But you're getting fucking nuanced then to it. So I think, to be honest, this is as good as we're going to... This could be perfected, but I'd rather do it with a stepper. So I think it opening and closing and making a really loud noise, we'll just deal with the noise with foam. But I think this works as a pick-up and drop-off unit on air. So, are you happy, James? Is that what you expected it to do?
Dude, I am so tickled right now. I'm gonna go kick air. Stream's over.
So talk me through what we haven't got in this, because that's the next issue. So things I have in my box.
Immediately, but if you insist, we will look at the evidence.
Thanks, man.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the follow. So things we still have in the magic box of things that James gave me. All of these cables, many cables. You
do?
Oh, you should
Perfect.
totally have put them on the thing. This bag here, which has got all of your sensors in, and the big LED and stuff. So I think when Drew was helping me, I dropped a bloody fan under my welder. When Drew was helping me wire up the colours, I think he was actually telling me how to wire this up rather than what we should have been wiring up. Oh, interestingly, these are all males.
Right. So, okay. No, there's two parts to that. So I actually, if I remember correctly, I don't think I gave you more than you needed. I think I gave you exactly what I anticipated. So there was a custom harness that I made so that way you could just plug it direct in and it would be, I wouldn't say mindless or dummy proof, but like, so you wouldn't get the pins wrong or anything. So there's two long poles, and those effectively would have lined up with the picture I sent you. And then there's a male to female extension because I expected the pie to be mounted far away. And so I wanted to provide that extension so we had the extra length to muck with.
Got you. I mean, where do these
colored cables?
So these sensors need to end up. There's two sensors. So they are little proximity sensors on foam. These want to be. We don't want to mount these on the door, do we? No, we definitely don't. We want to mount these.
So we want the magnet on the door. We want the receiver on one of both positions. So essentially the magnet, the actual magnet that's on the door, and because the door will never go further than sorry, so there's two trains of thought here, and this is just my ADHD going hog wild, but essentially you'll have closed position, and we could use one magnet sensor to touch both, which would mean your open closed position would have to line up, but there'd be visible sensors. I think what we want is 2 magnets and 2 receivers in both open and closed positions, and so that way you can catch the door when they're open and closed.
Yeah, I'd like to keep them invisible. I mean, I think we can cut holes in the sides here to like really flush mount the magnets, so that they're going into the door, sort of thing. The other thing to consider is that we don't necessarily actually have to have the sensors down here on the door. We could actually have them at the top end of the door, so they're never visible.
That was partial intent, yeah.
Yeah.
At least the rear one, we could put the closed sensor, we could put on the back and the top right there. And the open sensor, I think we should put on the front and the bottom there. If that makes sense.
It really doesn't matter though, because the door can't change its length. It's the door, although it hinges, is a solid thing. So if we have a sensor at the top of the door in here, relevant to here, it's only going to trigger when the door is all the way down. It doesn't matter what happens. You can't have, the door can't be down or up without that being in that same position. So I think we can hide all the sensors in here without any issue, to be honest. The other thing to remember is this air ram isn't going to be here either. So we've got more room to play with up here than we currently have. It's going to be a fucking small spool though, because obviously that runner there is where the door is, and it does come down a little bit there. So all of this is the only gap we have to do this kind of spool for the sort of winch spool for its stepper motor. So I will think about where to mount these, because we're going to have to take all that apart again to be able to do that. So that's fine. But at least I know what I'm doing there and know how to get the cable runs in there. RFID stuff. Let's talk about the RFID stuff. So, how do I make this open? How do I fool this into opening?
Do a pickup?
No, what I do is I just... quickly pull the air out. There we go. Right, so that was me just swapping the airlines over, so now it works backwards. So if we press the button, it'll close the door, but that's fine. Just means that we can open it on command. What I'll probably do is actually fit a hand switch in here as another option for the so you can actually click a switch and force it to open and stay open, and that'll just bypass the bypass it. That won't work with a stepper motor though. Right, so RFID.
Can you hear me okay?
So here's the RFID reader. So the inside of this is very plain and boring. So one of the big things is actually doing...
Again, James, his compressor was on.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I couldn't hear you.
Oh, no, I could hear you back.
Right, cool. So this is the RFID reader. The idea of this is it needs to sit at the bottom of the crates, and then the crates will have RFID chips in the bottom. So from a technical standpoint, interestingly, the only thing I need to know right now, if we assume that the RFID chip will be, we will build them centered into the bottom of the boxes, what's the range on this thing? How close to this, I'm obviously going to bury it underneath, but how close to this surface do I need this RFID reader? And how
So
good is
that
it going
was
to be to
one
work
of
through
the
wood?
Yeah, that was one of the big unknowns, actually. So I think I was doing testing. In fact, I had old shelves that were about that thickness, and so I think I was testing through that. I don't think it's a very weak signal because it's essentially being powered off of the Pi. The Pi's GPIO.
Got you, yeah.
Using
I
low or
looked.
high?
I
Pardon,
looked
Ryan?
at more powerful RFID readers, and that stuff hits commercial, and it's exponentially more expensive.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely.
This was the most
But
reachable component we could use,
so long as
but it would
the
have to be
antenna,
pretty close to the surface.
so long as the antenna, even on low frequency, so long as the antenna is large enough, you won't have to be more than a few inches away from the actual whatever's going to charge your antenna in the box, in the crate that you're putting in.
Yeah, I mean, we can
That's all
certainly,
you need.
but it's the issue is how far away will it work?
4 to 6 inches,
Through wood?
depending on how much output you get. I wouldn't do through wood. I would probably put like a
No.
center crystal so you can see through the glass.
Yeah, but see, this is the thing.
see.
We don't want to be able to see it. I was trying to find. I had a picture somewhere of a Covalex.
I mean, if you do it thin enough, like even a quarter of an inch, low frequency, you should be able to push so long as the antenna is within 2 inches, depending on the output of the RFID charger, because you're essentially trying to light up the antenna, right?
Yeah.
With RF, and the closer you are, obviously, the better it is. But the more output you have, the better it is. And then, I mean, it's not livestock or anything like that, so you can really ramp this shit up, stuff up.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I'm sorry. I'm trying to find. I had there was a photo of what the bottom of the Covalex unit's supposed to look like, because that's the other option. Is that I'm pretty sure there's like not quite a checker plate pattern on it. There is something on
You can hide that under paint.
Not really. The paint would melt it. But if there is a base, I'm sure there's a base, and it would also it'd be nice to actually not have this as wood. It'd be nice to have this as like a rubber mat or something.
It'd be better to have it as glass, but for the RF stuff. But yeah, you could do it as a rubber mat, so long as it's thin enough where the antenna is, because you can do this. What was it? It was almost 1/4 inch thick plastic that we were on both sides that we were pushing this through, and it would pick up, provided the antenna was about 4 inches long, it would pick up at about, 2 inches away, and that was a low powered.
I mean, I guess this
RF
is what we have. This is what we're using. So I guess it's how close can we get? I'd say if we cut, I think the challenge, we cut a hole out of here, mount it effectively flush with this, and then put something over the top as thin as we can get away with. I think that's going to be going to be the trick. And then it's just a bit a case of mounting these cards as close to the bottom of the boxes as possible. Now these you could actually just stick. You could actually just stick those to the bottom effectively. So yeah,
or you can use cards. I thought you were using antennas. The cards are going to need a higher power output than if you just used a simple antenna, like one of those stick-on antennas. Use way less power than those cards to bounce back.
Oh right, okay, yeah.
So if you can get some of those really, really thin copper paper antennas, I think you'd probably get a better result than using the actual RF
The actual
cards.
cards. And presumably that's all that's in these, isn't it?
Pretty much, but the plastic around the card is a lot heavier.
Okie dokies.
Whereas-
So from the point of view of the unit, I need to mount that dead center into there, and then wiring wise, I assume it is this multicolored strandy doodad to go back to it.
Yeah, I think that's the extension. Unless that's a female to female.
No.
Oh no, I think that is the right one.
That's fine. I may have to make a longer one, but that's fine because we're actually quite a long way away. But it's a fairly good. There is a cavity underneath this because this has wheels, and so there is a very small cavity, I think, underneath this. Yes, a very small cavity, like an inch. So it'll be a little bit of a squeeze, but that's fine. So I'll need to make a longer one of those. So I should probably write myself a list, shouldn't I? This might be a time for a list. So long since I've had the whiteboard out, there's no whiteboard pens. It's never good. So.
Well, I will say that rubber is brutal on RF.
Okay, that's annoying.
So, you what? Who is it? Oh God, one car. Like I would try to use like a plexi, even.
Yeah, I mean we could
like
use a
black plexi.
I mean, that's it. I will. Stage one is have a look what it looks like in game, and then see if I can come up with a nice.
Make it work.
Yeah, nice
paint
look
shouldn't
for it.
matter.
No, I don't think paint. I say if I can get something that. So we'll see what we've got. So I need to mount RFID. What else do we need to do? Cut track. Or
I was trying to find some of the videos where I was testing how far this would read, but I basically found another video. It doesn't specifically show it, but kind of gives you an impression of how the RFID picks up and tracks. What we'll have to do is we'll have to get into the debug. We'll turn on the debug at some point, John, you and I, and we'll go. You can just watch the screen flip on off.
Right, yeah.
You'll know how far. Yeah, you'll know how far it can go.
I mean, the thing
I
is,
don't remember it being very far though.
Go ahead, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that we can. I don't think it's going to matter too much if we've got if we have to sort of make the boxes virtually flat bottomed to get it to sit in right. Yeah, let's say. I mean, yeah. Let me look at the design of it because it might be a case of we could vinyl over it. Like it might just be a pattern that we could vinyl and get the same effect, and then we could put a glass piece underneath or what have you. So I think there's definitely options there. So mount sensors. What else do I need to do? Mount RFID. So what I'll do is I'll mount the RFID flush with the top of this, and then we can play around with what we can put on it and what materials work better and what don't. Doesn't matter what we're doing, to be honest. I still need to mount it flush with the top of that, so that's step one. Cut track for foam. So I want to get foam in here all the way along, so that we can embed a bit of sort of, I don't know, 10 mil bar packing foam that we use for our kits. We'll take the knockout this that. I'd rather put it in the bottom than do anything to the door, and then mount the magnetic sensors for the location of the door. So that is Wednesday, and I can do all that without James being present because that's all just woodworking. What else needs to happen to this? I think that's as far as we got it, isn't it? That would be everything that. Yeah. So to explain to people the eventual goal of this machine, and I will just very carefully close the door. Okay, just resetting the air back to the right way around. So we have the idea of this unit is we have the screen here. Obviously, the only button we've been pressing is we've been clicking drop off on this. This is obviously a screen that you'll be very familiar with if you've ever done a delivery mission. So we've been doing drop off. Excuse the very reflective screen. It's just because my lights are ridiculous in here. So we've been clicking drop off. We get the please stand by swirly thing, and then it opens. So what it's doing now, if I'm guessing, is it's now waiting for someone to put a box in that matches the RFID. Now I don't know whether it's just timing out, because it doesn't give us an error message or anything on the screen at the moment. When it decides to shut, it just seems to be a length of time and then it shuts. There it goes. So obviously, when we've got the RFID thing there, what are the options there? If it fails and you get a and an X, what do we want it to do then?
So I remember as you talked through that, this is programmatically exactly how it's handled in the game. So I had the timing down, like the amount of seconds that it stays open for a package to be delivered. And to boot, that LED, the giant LED in there, I use for kind of like debugging / notification and status. So that the LED will turn blue, I think, if I remember correctly, when it senses that a package has been picked up or dropped off. So then you would know when the RFID is working or not. But yeah, so that's what happens effectively. You hit pickup. It looks to see if there is a pickup, if there's something in the unit, so it'll turn the card on right away. It'll check to see if there's in. It doesn't matter what card it is. It'll check to see if one's in there. If there's no pickup, you're going to get an error message, just like in game. You don't have a delivery to pick up.
So so this is an interesting thing, right? So I was thinking about this the other day. So we kind of need to go away from game ever so slightly here, because what this unit is supposed to eventually be able to do is go to events like CitizenCon, and maybe there's one of these units, maybe there's 4 of these units, doesn't really matter. Let's just assume there's one. And what we wanted to be able to do was have basically a tweet go out to say there's a delivery mission. And that delivery mission is go and pick up a crate from the game glass stand and take it to the Covalex unit. So how do we know? So let's go the other way. You got to pick something up from the Covalex unit and take it to the game glass stand, right? When you come here, press pick up, it looks to see whether there's a box in there. Is there a way of that only working for someone who has accepted that mission? It's like there's got to be, obviously in game there is a inherent sort of way of it knows the player, it knows if you've accepted that mission. So I don't know whether this is going to require a code to put in, or something that it isn't just anyone picking up the button. That person has to follow the breadcrumbs to get the tweet to do this, and then only those people that have followed the breadcrumbs get to go and pick the parcel up. So it's how we do. It's how we do
JR,
that.
if I may.
Mm-hmm.
So if you use, so right now inside the Covalex unit, you're using low frequency RFID. if you used a high frequency, so if you were to give somebody a card and say,
But
like,
how do
just
they get
like
a
a business
card?
card within 10.
But how do they get the card off the tweet?
Maybe I can maybe I can intervene and interject here. So yeah, essentially this is what I had partially developed already with like a new back end where you can set up these events and deliveries. So to speak, there might be, you know, like a betting board or something, a live screen where you see what deliveries available. Someone can go to a station and get a delivery, and then they would get a code, like a PIN number or whatever. So one of the pieces I have ready for this is like a keypad, and I'm using the same keypad from the Covalex like Rubble, the Covalex station that's all jacked. So I have the keypad
nice.
there. So then you would just punch in the keypad, and then if your code lines up, you would make it. It would expect X delivery. Well, let's say you had that code, but you don't have the delivery. So if you put the package in there, that's not from that delivery code that you punch in, then it's going to reject the package.
Nice.
And then, yeah, there is a back end framework to this, and it kind of looks like DoorDash. You know, when you order something from one of the food delivery services and you see the driver in real time. We wouldn't necessarily see the driver in real time because doing the whole Bluetooth indoor
tracking people at events is never going to work. Yeah. No, okay. So that's cool. The other thing, when it'd be nice. I know, feature creep, right? You and Carl saying feature creep. It's like, absolutely. I'm not a perfectionist, but I'm a feature creeper. It's like, oh, we could make it do this shit. So the thing I am wanting this to do now is if you go pick up and it goes enter code, you put your code in, cool. I then want it to sound like it, because this is the thing. This is a magic box, right? Clearly, this size of crate, you could only actually get 3 of them in this unit, including the one in here. So we have to assume that these are mounted into a wall a bit like an ATM machine, and the packages disappear out the back and go somewhere. One has to assume, like, otherwise how the fuck does this work? Because you can have delivery missions and just fire 5 into this unit. Yeah, conveyor belt sound. I'm pretty sure it makes a noise when.
What do you call those? The waiter, the thing that those
elevators
have to pull it.
Yeah,
waiters.
Yeah.
No, that's essentially what you'd use.
Exactly, and I think when you look inside it, I think you do sort of see the sort of like element of that is like a tiny lift that has arrived at that Covalex unit. So. Nice. But yeah, so some kind of mechanical sound, and it's that whole thing of when you are standing in front of this, just some speakers making the sound doesn't work. I would want, because we've got all this room in here, we can actually have a mechanical something, a physical motor driven chain gearing that just is there to make a noise. It's typical like Jamie engineering. It's like literally we have gears and chains. So when that thing, it's literally just it's literally just sending a trigger. We can keep the relays, and just literally it just runs that motor. It just runs the motor, stops, and then the door opens. So you get that. Then you'll feel the vibrations of it. You'll actually feel like, oh, something is happening inside. Your brain can identify that sound is coming from that bit. I do want to put speakers in this. Obviously this screen has speakers. There are sound effects when it goes and things like that. I kind of want to put smaller speakers just so that you get that noise from it, but I don't want all the sound effects to come from actual just sound effects. It's better when you've got something this big to make it feel a little bit more realistic. So I would like that.
And the venue is quite loud, so you want to amplify those mechanical sounds.
And make them feel. I said there's tons of room in this for putting some crazy contraption in here to make a load of noise. So from a programming point of view, James, to write down, we're going to go sound effects. So crunching sound effects will literally be driven by one of these relay hats, because it'll literally be when we want the sound effect to be happening, hat on. When we don't want it to be happening, hat off. That's quite simple. The other two hats on this, I think eventually, because obviously one of them is controlling the solenoid at the moment, but won't be used for the servo. I'd like to keep them on here, though, because what I was thinking is we could run the LEDs from them, so we can flicker the LEDs on and off. Could work quite well as a possibility. I mean, we could just control LEDs straight from the Pi, but I've got some 12 that I've got strand bits of 12 volt super bright LEDs that we used on the Pisces screens, and I was going to put a couple of those in. So I think just relay controlling those. They'll be on all the time, I think, normally, and we'll put them in the normally closed relay setting. But it does mean that if we do the fucked up version of this, for people who aren't aware, like, in Grim Hex, there is a Covalex unit that's all battered and rubbish and doesn't quite work, and the screen glitches and the door kind of shutters and goes up and down, and then the lights flicker and all this kind of stuff. We want to kind of have a fucked up version program of this, so the hardware all stays the same, but the software and stuff runs it differently. Now, obviously, we would also paint and create it as a fucked up one as well, but for the time being, I just want to have a fucked up version of the software and hardware to run the thing in the same way. Again, it's a bit of a demo sort of platform to see what we can do. So that's pick-up, drop-off. Yeah, I like that. And then I say, ideally, if CitizenCon keeps growing and you've got areas within it, you kind of got a Grim Hexia area and you've got like a New Babbage area of the thing, there could be 2 or 3 of these units to do delivery missions between. And I just think that would be fucking awesome. It'd just be so cool to have people running around the venue with boxes doing Covalex delivery missions for prizes. And then when you've successfully completed your mission, you get a code, and you can get you get something to take to the merch stand or something to get some free merch or something. You know, CIG can use this as gamification however they like, but it's just that kind of people running around trying to go, I want to get the mission, and it's like that. As I say, that's the thing. I think the thing for me with it is, it's like, if you're at an event with 2,000 people and there's literally a code on a screen that appears, everyone there can get that code. It's basically how could we get it so that steps have to be done almost like precursor missions somehow to be able to get that code to go and get the box. The box in actually going to get the box is maybe step 3 of it. I don't know. That is way future creep. Can I take the box home with me?
It's actually not that hard to do. What you're talking about.
Yeah, that'll be part of the back end that drives this whole thing. So
Hmm.
you'll have an administrative back panel where you can create deliveries and track and cancel deliveries. You know, hey, you took too long, I canceled this delivery.
Yeah. I guess it would be a case of what are the precursor things is what I'm actually thinking.
You'd need you could do a code like, so with RF, it's really RFID. It's really easy to write, like stamp one of the boxes, as you say.
Mm.
It's really easy to stamp one of those boxes with a code. And then the hard part would be to update the Covalex units to receive said code.
No, what I mean is the precursor, like what steps should people have to do before they get their delivery mission? If we're trying to make this I'm thinking more broadly as the gamification at the event. It's like, right, what steps do you need to do to get that delivery mission? Because
I would say they would have to talk to a person, like somebody in costume or in cosplay or whatever.
Yes, I like that. Find a Covalex guy and ask if he's got any delivery missions, and he can go, take this card, and that could be they give you an RFID card and go, I've got this mission for you. You need to go to blah. Go and get a box, and yeah.
Something along those lines, yeah, for sure.
And then it's just a case of
That's the way
making sure.
I would
And
do it.
as I say, it's making.
And Drew would be awesome for that.
He's going to be busy. She's going to be busy. No, I think I think you'd have to do it
find
more.
Leela.
Yeah, you'd have to do it more subtly than that. I think it's going to have to be someone just walking around with like just a black shirt with a small Covalex logo on it, not like bright yellow with Covalex. It's just like just someone walking around.
I see what you're saying.
So they're harder to find, and they can give out and that person just walks out. So what you have is yourselves. You don't have one individual person the way you tend to run these events. So say it's the JRDF crew that's doing this. At a certain time of the day, it's Rye's job to go and get the black T-shirt, the Covalex T-shirt, put the Covalex T-shirt on, and just start walking around the venue with 3 RFID cards in his hand or in his pocket.
Or even maybe the night before at the pub crawl, at the bar citizen.
Yeah.
Hand out a few cards there.
Exactly, and it's just like people have to come up to you and go, "Do you have a Covalex mission for me?" Where do I say? Well, yeah, exactly. But it's like you think throughout the day, if each time they give 3 RFID cards out, this is assuming there's 3 Covalex boxes, so each one gets sent. Say there's 3 units. There's a green one, because I do like the green one as well, an FTL one and a fucked up one, let's say. So 3 cards, each person gets sent to one to go and pick a parcel up to come to another to drop it off. So you've got to hope that everyone's about the same speed, because obviously the ideal is that at the start of this, each Covalex unit has a box in it. And at the end of those 3 missions, all the units have a box in it. So all you've done is move a box from one unit to another. So you don't have to have staff changing the boxes. It's basically...
It wouldn't matter what order the boxes were picked up in, so long as the codes were aligned.
Well, it doesn't, because if someone manages to pick up their box and get to the second unit before the other person has taken their box out, there's already a box in it.
It shouldn't matter, actually. There's an easy way around that. That's easy.
How? Well, someone has to wait. Software. Well, no, it's not. It's if you get to if I've got a box and I get to this unit and this is where I'm dropping the box off, and the other person hasn't picked the box up yet, I can't put the box in.
I see what you're saying.
So it's like
you would have to do it pick up and drop off only. You can't pick up from the drop off.
Yeah, so you couldn't really have 3 missions working at once.
Could.
I
guess you could. I mean, you're talking like 2 units only, right?
I'm more thinking 3. I'm more thinking 3 units, 3 missions would be ideal. Because the other thing you got to consider is you got 2,000. It's like, think of the Dragonfly at Austin. Think about how many people wanted to sit on that Dragonfly. We had 820 people sit on that Dragonfly. If you have real life Covalex box missions, at least 200-300 people at that event are going to want to do it and take pictures of themselves doing a box mission. So it's like the system has to be set up that throughout the day, that number of people can do that box mission. And that's the issue. And
that's just a table. That's just a table. Like, you can reassign. Like, let's say I give you a card.
Yeah.
And you go pick up a card or pick up a box using your card. And then you go to drop off a box. Dropping off that box, that box's RFID can be rewritten for the next person to pick up.
Oh yeah, no. That's not what
it doesn't actually have to change boxes.
No, that's not what I'm worried about. What I'm worried about is if you can only have one person doing a mission at once, then you can't get the throughput of missions. But if you have 3 Covalex boxes or Covalex units and 3 missions, the chances are someone will arrive, finish their mission before another person has started their mission. So there's already a box in the unit. Or there's still a box in the unit, I should say. So that person can't do their mission until that person's taken it out, and that would be annoying. The other thing is, obviously...
That's logistics. We can figure that out. That's not...
Well, it's not logistics. It's you're giving, because this is the other problem. Okay, right? If you're walking around in this Covalex t-shirt that's supposed to be quite subtle, first person who comes to ask you, do you have a Covalex mission, you give them a card. That person goes off to go and do their mission. The chances are that you're not going to perhaps have another person turn up to ask for another mission in time for them to have done that. So I think realistically, it's probably going to have to be more complicated than that it's going to have just one mission running at a time, which would be really annoying.
I think.
Yeah, and
because it's so easy to change the charge on a card, or change the code on a card or antenna, whatever you want to call it. It's very easy to swap those. Now, the physical box being in the chamber, yes, that's a problem.
Yeah, that's the only problem I see, really. Vexma has, you, and that's why it's open at the back. So we don't have the back in it at the moment. I did turn the compressor off, but there should be enough. Should be enough juice. So it is open backed. We can put a secret trapdoor in there. That does kind of work. I guess it's that whole thing of you would need a runner for the day, which isn't a huge issue, because obviously you could have a back end that goes, right, mission X has now been accepted by someone. Someone has taken the... Fine, I say yes. 2 machines and 2 boxes. 1 machine is always empty. But how do you... So say box A or unit A doesn't have a box in. What if both of those missions? I suppose if you give the card out in the right order, you could probably slow people down enough. As I say, it's one of those things that you've got to worst case scenario it all the time, because if you've got 2,000 people at the event and hundreds of people trying to do this, but yes, you're probably right. Having 1 less mission than there are units. Yeah. The other thing is it's this whole thing that we wanted. It's trying to come up with a solution that is as unlabor intensive as possible. Having runners and panels in the back works, but it would be nice to. It would be not. I mean, I don't know. I'm sort of thinking outside the box from a point of view of the size of the venues that we might be dealing with CitizenCon. You'd have no issue even at Manchester last time to have had 4 of these units. You'd have had 1 in the kind of that weird center room where the LAN room was off the side of it. You would have 1 there. You would have 1 all the way down in the bottom of reception. You would have 1 right at the end of the bazaar. And then you would have another 1... Where would you have the other one? I think the thoroughfare, both the thoroughfares where the ice carrack was, and the that sort of, you could have 1 at the end of that thoroughfare possibly. Yeah, so you could have at least 4, and that's before we get to the bigger venues than that. It's
James.
Yeah.
Quick question: could you put a QR code easily on a box that would correspond to, obviously the QR code wouldn't be able to change, but the RFID code could change, where people could scan it with their phone to tell them which Covalex unit to take it to, as well as, so as JR is saying, if you pick up your crate sooner and get to a unit sooner, you would have to pull out the current one, put in your current one, pull out the one that's currently in there, and redistribute.
Oh, so you don't. The mission isn't set in stone until you pick the box up. So it doesn't tell you where to take the box to until you pick it up. Yeah, I mean, that could just display on the screen, to be honest. You wouldn't even need the RFID. You wouldn't even need because that's the thing. If you just get given a card and go, you need to go and pick up a box from blah, 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 blah.
So let me just kind of level set here. When I first started putting the mini game together, logically and kind of getting some of the software prepped for it, the idea was that this actually is a mission giver system, and so like I was saying, you might see a LCD, in a couple of rooms, and that would be a dashboard that would say, "Hey, these missions are available," and then someone could pull up on their phone. Let's say they're connected to an intranet or something, so to speak, that they could access. They could pick, like, "Hey, I'm pilot the stormtrooper, and I accept this delivery," or whatever. So then it would kind of like knock that off the list, and then you'd have so much time to go and pick up. And if not, you didn't pick up, then it would get recycled. So as things are happening, they'll be available or unavailable to pick and choose from.
Oh,
so
nice.
that way it can go at its pace.
You get that rotation through. Yeah.
The other thing to remember
and
is
if
that
you didn't deliver fast enough, then you wouldn't get rewarded, right? There would be incentive to not drag your feet and run around with this huge box lugging it around.
This is the other thing, is that we don't necessarily, it doesn't always have to be Covalex units. It's like when we originally dreamt this game up, there was only the one, wasn't there? So it was go to the Game Glass stand and go and get a box from them, like you go into a pickup, and then, or this is the other thing, and this is the other cool thing that we could actually do, is just have some shelves with boxes on, like just that look like prop items, and then all of a sudden you realize, oh yeah, I actually have to go and get one of those boxes, take one of those boxes, and do a mission with it. And it doesn't require loads of these machines, maybe just one, two of these, or even just one to do missions, and then move stuff.
With high frequency RFID, you could actually have it so that when you get close to those shelves, your box will light up.
Yes, but that doesn't happen. Yeah, I suppose you could have some sort of scannery tool. As Parak Gamer says, dude, I don't always.
Antenna.
Yeah,
they're only like $100.
Yeah, exactly. So. That doesn't seem practical. Parak said, yeah, not every mission is always available. That's very true. Depends how clever you want it to be. Hugely clever, Yunka. As always, way more complex than it needs to be. The JRDF way. Yes, we will actually have an NPC standing on a chair and a T-pose near it. Excellent. Good idea.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, timed incentives. Yeah,
Neela to stand on a chair for like 4 hours.
Absolutely.
T-pose.
Well, and then occasionally that can be the Covalex guy, and he's just sort of like broken, and you've got to take the card out of his pocket. Another cat. It's like we've got like an infestation of cats in here. Hello. Is this I am hungry? Yeah.
What is that time?
It is that time. So yeah, I think we have achieved, people. I think we have achieved. I've got a list for Wednesday. We'll play that. We'll do the thing one more time. It's probably got enough air in it. Yeah. There we go. So very impressed. I love it. It's lovely to have her working. That was less work than I was expecting it to be to get us to this stage. This isn't a hugely long snagging list to get the rest of the tech in. So that'll be Wednesday's job. We should get all those 3 things done on Wednesday. Good God, my hand was lost. I will probably put my arm in it. At some point, just as a safety test, and just be aware that it'll probably jump the rope off it, but that's fine. And yeah, thank you very much for everyone tuning in. I don't have the ability to raid from here, so I am going to have to go back upstairs and do the raid. Oh, we'd also need to pick a winner.
While he's running up, what was your favorite part of this stream? I want to know. Definitely the tech, right? Yeah, definitely the tech. Or the raffle. The raffle's always good.
Raffle's always good, but the tech is... Yeah, the raffle, he's going to clean that up right now. And yeah, definitely the tech. Always the tech.
I think I'm going to regret leaving the window open in here. So, let's pick a winner. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Shadow Scout. Congratulations. You definitely needed more J-Rex in your life. I know you barely have any. Don't worry. This is the interesting thing. Some of you guys have a gratuitous amount of J-Rex in your account already. Yeah. But I'll tell you this. Not a single person has enough J-Rex to buy all of the things, all of the new artwork prints. So even you whales out there, we are putting so many J-Rec products in the basket, none of you have enough points to buy them all. So you actually do need more. You might have enough now. But yeah, so that's awesome. And then I did have a window here. There we go. Over 1,000 followers, 3.5 hour stream. There you go. Who we're going to raid? Adorable Kittens. Don't think that's going to work out. Bob Ross Art. That's not going to work. Who's streaming? Must be someone else streaming than that. Oh, I don't know if I've lost sound. I might
No,
lose sound.
we got you. There's a Captain.
Oh, no, that's fine. No, like sound in my ear because these Bluetooth headsets have been just sat on this desk for God knows how long now. Cool. Who is... Oh, wow. There's really not many people.
I show Captain Burks is
streaming
on.
Star Citizen at the moment. Just see who is streaming Star Citizen. Captain Burks, Vertigo. Throw it to Vertigo then. We did last time, I think. Oh, no, I don't think we did absolutely last time. But we'll throw it to Vertigo since he's one of the very few people actually doing it. Oh, that's going to break the world. No, interesting. So I've just clicked raid. So I now need to run down and click it downstairs. Oh, good God. Well, thank you very much for everyone joining in. Say hello to HD Vertigo. It's all going to go over when I run downstairs and press the button. Thank you all for joining.
JR is getting his workout today.
This was a blast. Thanks everybody for hanging out.